Well, welcome back to another exciting edition of the Pointless Exercise podcast. It's time for the Cubs podcast with Oleg and Praz. Guys, how are
Hello,
you?
Andy. Hello, Oleg. Doing well.
Praz, how's your other podcast going?
It's okay, but as my podcast partner is out of town right now, we're kind of waiting until maybe say pitchers and catchers report, to kind of fire it back up again. We did have, right after, we did our Cubs convention preview here. I had one there with John as well too, where I also got it wrong on who I thought was getting into the utility tunnel of fame. But we'll be going weekly during the season. So check it out. Chicago Sports Bums YouTube page, Bums in the Bleachers. We'll be going every Monday night and Tuesday night during the season.
So when you do this podcast before that podcast, you just steal all my jokes and just use them.
That's
Wait,
correct.
Andy,
Or do you try to come up with good ones instead?
don't you listen? Sorry, I don't.
He was on one
course
time.
we do.
So yeah.
Of course we Oleg and I listen all the time. Sometimes we have little watch parties.
I don't really listen to podcasts anymore. It's not just yours.
I am a podcast addict. I'll look for any content I can get.
Yeah, my thing is I finally went and got. Oh shit! I finally went and got a library card.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
After like 8 years of living in the city, I'm like finally like, all right, I got to get a library card. So now I'm like, I really want to get into listening to books. Like I feel like that'll be pretty cool. And I've listened to books and I find that very enjoyable. Like,
All right, I'm gonna make an audiobook recommendation for you. 2 of them.
Okay. Oh, please tell me you recorded yours.
Yeah, mine. You can just call me and I'll read chapters out of that.
Great until it wasn't. The Immortals, yeah.
Okay.
Uncle Andy, can you tell
here
me
comes
a
a
story?
footnote. End footnote. Okay, so audiobooks that you have to listen to at some point.
Yeah.
First one is called The Kid Stays in the Picture by Robert Evans.
Yep. Okay.
Because he reads it.
Yeah. Okay. Yes.
And
Yeah,
it's
I've heard you say that,
amazing.
you know.
Oh my God, that guy. He is just is.
I've actually do remember you.
Ally McGraw was an incredible broad. legs all the way up to her neck, and I explored every inch of it. He's really funny, and I have a feeling most of the stories are true, which is even better.
Yeah.
He banged he worked his way up to become a studio head, and he married Allie, I think.
Yeah.
Anyway, and then Mel Brooks did the audiobook to his autobiography a couple of years ago.
Oh yeah.
It's great.
I keep putting off watching the his documentaries.
Those are very good
On HBO. I need to.
Yeah, it's 2 episodes. It's almost 4 hours long.
Yeah. Oh,
it's really good.
I bet that's not enough time.
No, I mean they gloss over. It ends. It's so funny through most of it, but the end it is kind of sad because he talks about how when you live to be 99,
Yeah,
everybody dies.
Yeah.
You outlive everybody.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's fun. I didn't know he was married before Anne Bancroft. There's this whole thing at the beginning about how he met his wife, and I'm like, God, they're really glossing over the fact that his wife was Anne Bancroft. And I realized, oh no, I think she's coming up later. This isn't her.
The one audiobook that I can recommend that I would love to recommend is the Beastie Boys book. A memoir, because they have a lot of like John C. Reilly does a chapter or two, Rosie Perez does a chapter. Like, so they've got all these kind of New York actors, or like it's a really, really interesting. Like it's really cool. Like they do a couple, like they read a couple chapters.
Oh, yeah. That's cool.
It's really cool. It's a really good listen. And it's a really interesting, they're an interesting story, whether you like, hip hop or not, especially for folks our age, who kind of came of age around that time.
Yeah.
That's really cool stuff.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
That was Library Corner. Congratulations on getting your library card.
Having fun.
I remember when I got mine, because same thing. I hadn't lived in well, it's been like 14 years now.
Yeah.
How long have we been back? Anyway, I actually lived in the town where I didn't have to, because where I lived before, I'd have to pay for a library card here.
Okay.
Because I didn't live in the city, but now I do. And it's amazing how much I use it.
Yeah.
Like I can use it to read the New York Times. I don't ever have to subscribe to the New York Times.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
There's a bunch of magazines you can get for free.
Online version, like through the portal. Oh,
it's kind of a pain. Like if you see an article you want to read and you can't, you can just go to the library site, you find it, it gives you a 1-day pass.
Okay,
and you just log in. But once you've done it, you're basically just logging in, and it kicks you right back to the Times, and you get to because always subscribe to the Times for the stupid games.
Oh,
we don't actually subscribe to the paper and the Athletic. I still get the Athletic.
Yeah, I subscribe to the Athletic.
I've been a subscriber since day one because even when I worked there, they wouldn't give it to me for free.
Yeah.
And you can rent movies and you can rent games. There's you can get video games. That's amazing. Cool.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff at the library.
All right, so a couple of things we're going to talk about. My column today was Derrek Lee went on MLB, whatever they call it in the off season.
MLB
MLB Central. Yeah. Because they've been doing this thing where they talk about they're picking their Matt Vasgersian and Harold Reynolds are picking their favorite players at every position for every team. And occasionally they bring guests in. They brought Derrek in, and I thought, oh, this would be fun. He's a smart guy. It's going to be great. And his team was fucking batshit. It must have taken him all 30 seconds to put it together. I don't know. Who played right field first? Jock Jones? Jock. Put Jock on the team. Jock, no, don't put fucking Jock Jones.
It was probably
right.
cool.
Ryan Theriot was your shortstop. Yeah.
You played with Sammy Sosa, Derek. Couldn't he have been your right fielder?
Well, I don't think they liked Sammy Sosa very much, right? Like I think famously. But
and then Sammy hogged Derek's utility tunnel of fame induction.
Well, it's guys who like hanging out. You know what I mean? Like you could the guys on there were kind of like I would imagine it was be fun, right? Like
he basically picked. It's fine. They're his favorite players. He picked his friends and he picked the Hall of Famers who hung around spring training.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. Right.
Ernie, Fergie, and Billy.
I think it really what it's more evidence of than anything else is just how sort of inane it is to ask like a player to pick his favorite.
Right. The only way I think it really works is if you ask a player to pick his favorites from his childhood team.
Yeah, or something. Right.
You know, like I don't know where Derek grew up.
Well,
California, maybe.
Famously, wasn't Derrek Lee's dad in a pro ball player in like Japan or something like that?
Yeah, they should have had him pick his favorite Nippon Baseball League team.
Yeah.
But yeah, like if you pick somebody who grew up a Cub fan, then that kid's good. He's going to pick a team of his actual favorites. If you take an old Cub who didn't root for the team until he got there,
right?
And then it's like, they traded me to the fucking Pirates. You know, it's maybe he's got a grudge. I don't know. So anyway, at later on the pod, we're going to. I already revealed mine, but you guys are going to pick your. We're gonna see who your favorite.
This thought. It was kind of a fun little exercise. Like it, you know, I didn't spend a couple of hours on or anything like that, but it was kind of fun to think back and kind of think through like what the reasoning was. Like start off with what did I want to pick, the guys I wanted to pick. I cheated in a couple cases, but it'll be
it's going to be a lot of recent ones for me because, you know, I'm significantly younger than you guys.
Yeah, it's not as much fun for you. I
mean, hey, I feel like I got to see a better era than what you guys grew up with, but
What?
Whoa. What are you trying to say about the 1990s?
Don't worry,
you didn't see Leo Gomez in his prime.
How dare you, sir?
And I regret it every day.
Who's in left? Is it Scott Bullitt or Robin Jennings or Ozzie Timmons or Eduardo Zambrano? It doesn't fucking matter.
I'll tell you this.
Any of the four. It's nobody's catching a fly ball today. Don't worry about it.
I'm pretty sure that you threw in a fake person there.
Spoiler alert.
It was Eduardo Zambrano, right? Eddie Zambrano?
Oh, yeah.
I almost called him Eduardo something else. And we had Ozzie Timmons. I forgot Ozzie Timmons.
Ozzie Timmons. Yeah.
Spoiler alert, the current left fielder did not make my team. I know that's a huge shock to all of you.
Dylan Carlson? You didn't put Dylan Carlson on your team?
Well, maybe. We'll see how his 2026 goes. We'll see how spring training goes for him.
Yeah.
He could be my new Gage Workman this year.
What if we get a Chaz McCormick, Dylan Carlson platoon in left field?
There,
would it be any worse than
there will
what we
be
really
a game
get?
this year when those two will be your starting out, like two of your starting outfielders.
Yeah.
When
Pete and Seiya crash into each other in the first game in Mesa. Is that what you're saying?
I didn't say there would be like an all-year thing, but there will be a game probably.
Could be. I don't know that both of those guys can make the team.
I mean, at some point, I don't know.
Although apparently they can easily stash Chaz. Like Chaz is kind of, he starts with a handicap because he can easily be sent to AAA because of his contract.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's probably, that's probably where he's going to start. Unless Carlson is so bad that they're like, fuck it, we just can't.
Well, they signed him to a minor league deal. I think it was the same
thing
with Carlson,
what I'm saying is
they don't have to reassign him to minor league camp. He's in minor league camp.
Yeah. No, what I'm suggesting is he probably has an opt-out in his contract that says if you're not on the major league team and you can, somebody else.
I think he does, but it's like, it's like end of the season. I don't think it's the end of spring training.
Not like April 5th or something, like a lot of guys have it.
Kind of like that's how the Cubs got Drew Pomerantz last year.
Yes.
Right? He had one that kicked in like 3 weeks into the season, and Seattle's like, fine, you take this old bastard. He can't pitch anymore.
Yeah.
And then he was amazing.
Who knew?
Wait till he's going to win the Cy Young for the Angels this year.
He was really amazing. Like it was great.
He gave up a run for like the first month.
Right.
Yeah.
Damn
it was really, really good. And he was striking guys out. Like it was.
I kept waiting for him to just run out of gas, and he never really did.
Yeah.
No,
well, he had one bad outing, and then who was it? What was the bad? I remember. I thought he had like one bad outing, and then he had a bunch of good outings in a row. Then he had a fairly bad outing, and then a bunch more good in a row. Like it was. I feel like I might be.
Well, he was like the master of like being the opener for like say Ben Brown or like
he did
one of those early Cade Horton starts.
Right.
Did he start? Didn't he start Cade's first?
That might have been Keller. That might have been Keller that started that.
Oh yeah, it might have been. That was before Brad was the 8th inning stud.
Right. Yeah.
So anyway, what I'm talking about before we get to our favorite Cubs is I have this theory, and it's actually a theory that I developed while I was thinking about the Bears. And it's that the more we obsess over a team, like the Cubs, the harder it is to get a true perspective on just like how good they really are. Because I think they're, for the guys you like Pete, like I just kind of hand wave off he swings at everything.
Yeah.
But for guys I don't like, it's easy to be like, he can't do this, he can't do that, he can't do this. And I think it's go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I feel like you had a similar sentiment with this around the time of the 2021 trade deadline sell-off, remembering listening to those podcasts, and you kind of said something similar about like Anthony Rizzo a little bit, that you felt like you didn't really appreciate him all that much, and that, maybe that is that what you're going for, or?
No, I think that's similar. But those guys were different because like
I think
they got the benefit of the doubt because they were who they were.
Right.
But I do think there were times when you're like, their struggles, you were just like, just get back to the way you played in 2016. Can't you just do that?
Yeah.
Why can't you go do that?
Like
where this is probably more like, like I would admit that I undervalued Nico for a lot of the season last year because it's like, can't he ever get anything more than a single? Like, I know he's a good player. I know he's a good defender. He's a good base runner, but come on. And you realize he did. He drove the ball more in the second half, but he's just such a good all around. He helps you in so many ways that it's stop worrying about the one thing he doesn't do and just appreciate like the 5 things that he does do.
The one thing about Nico that kind of is evidence of that is I know that they're just rumors, but the amount of teams that were ready to trade for him with 1 year left. Like there are teams lining up to try to trade for Nico. He is a very, very good baseball player. My point is that it's easy collectively to look at this Cubs team and to think, and this might be where we're going with this, to think that there's a player or two out there who they can still maybe get, and they'd be so much better and have such a huge advantage and actually be able to compete. Whereas you see what the Dodgers are doing or anything like that, and it's like, well, they're not there. They're not at that level.
Yeah.
It's also easy to see, like, it's easy to hate somebody like Ian Happ, right?
I don't hate Ian.
He's not that good of a ball player. Well, no, in general. And it's easy to kind of
I just want him to leave.
Right.
For his own good.
I want him longer.
I want him to experience more of life than just playing for the Cubs.
ultimately, this is a good team. Like, ultimately, it's a good team. They're built pretty well, right? Like, the pitching staff is built like the offense is. It's just that you shouldn't have to only when you're the Cubs, you shouldn't just have to rely on that. You should be able to go out and get a couple of MVP players when they're available and plug them into the lineup or plug them into the pitching rotation or whatever, and then go, right? It's like, there's no reason why they couldn't have both. And so when you look at it that way, it's easy to kind of see the grass is always greener, and it's always to kind of see that, like there's players who they should be getting, but ultimately still like taking a look back, like their Zips projection came out on Fangraphs, and it's pretty good. It's a pretty good projection, right? And they're a pretty good team if everybody stays healthy. If Big If, they're a good team. So they've got a lot of depth in the pitching. Their bench, I think, might end up being okay if they keep Matt Shaw on it as the utility guy. Like they're pretty good. Like better than pretty good. Like they're 90. They should win more than 90 games. Like that's the caliber of team that they are.
I think at any rate they're probably more of a favorite to win the NL Central this year than I think they were in previous years.
Yeah. Well, they went out and did the thing they wouldn't do last year, which was they went ahead. They actually did the trade for a guy like Edward Cabrera, and they actually did sign Bregman. Now the problem is, last year if they had done those two things, you would have added them to Kyle Tucker, where instead you've subtracted that now. But my whole point about this is, and the reason I bring it to the Bears is, been watching everything about, these guys talk about how the Bears have to fix the defense, and this is what they need to do. They need to go and they got to clear some money. They got to get rid of DJ Moore, and they got to get rid of Cole Kmet so they can have this money, and then they can get Max Crosby, or they can get Trey Hendrickson, and they can do this, and then they probably have to get rid of Tremaine Edmonds because we got to get some money somewhere, and then you get three other linebackers, and then you got to rebuild the whole secondary, and you got to do all this stuff. And I'm not disagreeing that they need to improve the defense. Obviously, they do. But I feel like we as Bear fans, and it's not our fault, this is our life experience, when we think about how good a defense has to be for the Bears to be good, it's a level that they don't have to get to anymore. Because for our entire lives, until last year, they had to build a defense that gave up like less than 17 points a game, or they weren't going to win anything important. And that's a really huge burden to put on your defense. And they don't have to operate that way anymore, because
now they're a 26-point offense.
They're an offensive football team. They've been an offensive football team before, but they're an offensive football team who's going to score points. And so
derogatory offensive previously. Now
the thing about the defense, and I think they do have to improve the defense. And the thing about it is, you're right. They don't have to build a 13-point a game defense, right? They don't have to build like the best defense in the league. No. But what they do need is they need to build a defense that's good enough to flip the field, to give them field position, to make that offense right. Because it just makes it easier for the offense to score 32 points instead of 27 a game or whatever it is, right? I don't know. That seems like a really high number.
But when you think about, and the second Super Bowl team is the epitome of this. That defense had to not only stop the other team, the defense had to give the ball to the offense close enough to the end zone where they could score.
Exactly.
They weren't just out to stop the other team. They had to steal the ball and hand it to this crippled offense. It's like, can you fucking score from here?
Yeah.
I guess. And there are games. I remember the game against the Packers when Urlacher gets the interception, and it looks like he's going to score, and Aaron Rodgers trips him, and he gets and you knew they weren't going to score then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You went from being super excited about the interception to going, well, shit, if Brian didn't score there, now we can't, they're not going to score. And they didn't. It's like, and so we grew up with that. Everybody did. Everybody since the glory days of, except for the few Jim McMahon years, the glory days of Sid Luckman. We all grew up with that. That was the standard the defense had to get to for the team to be good. Now, obviously, you still have to have a good defense. You're not getting to the Super Bowl if you have to score 48 points all the time.
Right.
But it was part of and the other thing was the defense this last year, everybody's like, well, they're never going to get lucky and get that many turnovers again. That was, a lot of those turnovers were almost out of desperation. Like, the only way in some of those games they could get the ball back was to steal the ball, because they couldn't stop the other team. And I'm sure they took chances in places. because they knew they needed. We can't make them punt. We've got to we've got to steal the football. And you shouldn't have to operate like that either. Turnovers should come more organically.
Well, I just think they're so volatile year to year. Like this year, like let's face it, like that Packers playoff game, like if Jordan Love doesn't if the snap isn't bad, like that's the big deal, right? It's a fluke thing, and you can't count on those plays. Like you have to solidify the defense a little bit better. And go ahead.
I was just going to say, or if Brandon McManus doesn't miss 7 points worth of kicks too, you probably lose that game.
Yeah, like they are sort of fluky things, and you know what I mean. Like it's a team on the rise. You can see how good they're going to be, and I think that's a little bit different than where the Cubs are, because I don't think the Cubs are like this young team on the rise. I think this is who they are. This is them.
No, the Cubs they basically built to this. Like this is. Yes. This is kind of the last ride for a bunch of these guys, hopefully.
Yeah. Well, where's like
I can't believe I'm already sifting through. Well, maybe what would it take for the Cubs to do one more extension with Ian Happ? It would take me not burning down Wrigley Field. Is what it would take.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, we've talked about this before. Where this is probably the worst Bears team of the next 8 years. This is you probably have a 3-year window for the Cubs to win a World Series. Right, while you have Bregman, who's still not quite in his mid-30s, maybe you have to resign Seiya. Right, you got some pitchers who might be pretty good. Like it's not like you got a bunch of money coming off the books, so you can kind of maybe make some investments in free agency. I don't know if they will or not. Like it's easy to be cynical about them, but the Cubs are sort of where they are, right? And now it's just
they actually do. They have a tremendous amount of money coming off.
I was just going to bring this up. Yep.
So I don't know that the window. The good news and the bad. So the good news is of their impending free agents, most of them are relatively easily replaceable.
Yeah, like Tyone and
or the ones
Boyd,
who aren't easily replaceable. You have a relative facsimile that you're going to put there. So the Cubs should. They should probably make a real concerted effort to keep Nico beyond this year.
Yeah, you don't really have. I know. Well, they have.
If they don't, then they
at
least they have they can take the leap and say, well, Matt Shaw can play. Right.
Yeah.
But with Seiya, they don't have. I guess this year will tell a lot, right? If Ethan Conrad actually is good, those guys, then maybe you look at it and you're like, okay, we don't need to break the bank to keep Seiya.
Or see some things from Kevin Alcantara.
But Happ will not be terribly difficult to replace.
No, right.
I know it seems crazy, but he's just not that good a player. But yeah, I mean, I guess if you're looking at Pete's still around.
Yeah.
Dansby's there forever.
Yeah,
you got Bregman for 5 years. You got Bush. You've got Miguel Amaya.
Yeah.
You've got Cade Horton. You've got Edwin Cabrera.
Yeah.
I think you got an option on Carson Kelly after this year, for what it's worth. I don't know.
Yeah, I would think
how attractive is that's going to be after some regression that's due to come.
Given how he played from May on, hit 230 from May 1st to the end of the year, probably not going to pick that contract up.
Yeah, that's fair.
And you got Moises.
Yeah.
And you got.
I can't wait. Oh,
you got favorable rules coming into play for Moises if they do plan to have him catch again.
You just kind of remind me that I forgot a position on my favorite Cubs list.
You didn't pick a catcher?
I did pick a catcher. I didn't pick a DH, and now I'm super psyched about that.
Oh.
I kind of cheated on DH.
The best Cub DH of all time, Victor Caratini.
No, Wilson Contreras that 1 year
for the whole the COVID year. It was like Ross thought you had to use the backup catcher as your DH. It's like, what are you doing? Thankfully, they finally gave him. They got him Jose Martinez.
Yeah,
so use him.
Yeah.
You could tell.
Never get a hit.
Did he go 0 for 19 or something?
0 for something.
Yeah,
he did not get a hit. He walked once, right?
I think
he
so,
reached
right?
base once.
Yeah, sounds right. I do think, though, in fairness to Ross, and I'm no David Ross fan, but I do think Caratini was actually one of their better hitters that year. So I could kind of see why he wanted his bat in the lineup.
I just remember looking at his stats as a DH and going, why the fuck are we still DHing this guy?
Yeah,
so I would, anecdotally, at least, I didn't think it was working. I couldn't understand why it was happening over and over and over again. But they also had 3 catchers. They had the great Josh Fegley.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, God. The guy
who started the craze of catching on one knee, but not because he couldn't squat anymore. That's why he was doing it.
The arthritis was kicking in early for Josh.
Well, I still remember, who was it? Was it Bo Diaz? I know Benito Santiago did it all the time.
Well, Tony Pena used to do the split.
Tony Pena, that's who it was. I knew it was the Cardinal.
Yeah, Bo Diaz wasn't doing that. Bo was too busy training for his very short-lived career as a satellite dish installer.
What?
Don't you know how Bo Diaz died?
Is that how he died?
Yeah, he got crushed by a satellite dish on the roof of his house.
Oh, this I did not know.
Oh,
that was Bo, right? Am I getting the wrong guy?
I don't know. Are you?
No, you have it right.
Diaz?
Yeah.
Yep,
died
crushed by a satellite dish on the roof of his
Yep.
home. He was 37 years old.
Oh man, he was 37.
Kind of like, remember Jeremy Gonzalez and his electric stuff.
Did he get hit by lightning?
He got struck by lightning on a beach.
What did you say? He got what?
Jeremy Gonzalez and his electric stuff is what Andy said.
Electric stuff.
Yeah, I think you made that joke before. That's funny.
Victor
so
Caratini
bad,
is
I'm
a
going
DH. It's not good. It's not good, but it's not good. 244, 340, 317. He slugged 317 as a DH in 2020.
Okay, you got to remember though that on the 2020 Cubs overall, look at their hitting stats, because outside of Hap, Hayward, and Contreras,
and Hayward's was literally the first. Hayward's was the first 20 games, and then he was terrible for the last 40.
Right.
The only reason his stats look good that year is because the season ended after 60 games. If they had gone to 162, he would have hit 212. Yeah, nobody hit but Hap, and then Hap fouled a ball off his face at the end of the season, remember?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, he did hit a home run in the playoffs. The only run they scored.
The one run they scored, which gave them the lead briefly. But...
And that was against, I remember it was like, wow, the Marlins have these great pitchers that are going to be around forever. And the 2 pitchers they had, I think, are long gone.
Was it
they were good.
Braxton Garrett or Braxton?
Oh,
I know one of them was Sixto Sanchez, right?
Oh, that guy. Yeah, that's right. That's the guy they got from the Phillies for JT Realmuto, I think.
I mean, they were throwing real shit, but it did not last.
Yeah, he was Sixto Sanchez had amazing
Sandy.
stuff. Yeah.
Oh, Sandy started game
one for them.
I was thinking it was Jose Urania, but he was probably already gone by then. Yeah, Sandy turned out right. Former Cardinal, Sandy Alcantara.
Yeah, for Ozuna. Yep.
Boy, it's funny. They actually did have some pretty good players. They just gave all the wrong ones away.
Yeah.
Okay. Speaking of bad roster moves the Cardinals have made, I guess this isn't really in their control, but you know how the Cardinals got Dylan Carlson, right? Now current Cub Dylan Carlson. He was the compensation pick from the Cubs for them signing John Lackey. And now it comes full circle that he's a Cub again.
Now he's going to come be a Cub star.
Exactly.
Or a guy who 4 months from now we're like, who was the Cardinal that came to spring training?
Jim Edmonds make a comeback. Yeah.
I made the case when they first got him that he's a switch hitter and Hap's a switch hitter, and Carlson is a left-handed thrower who hits better right-handed. Hap is a right-handed thrower who hits better left-handed. They should be platooning.
Well, I think
that it's the opposite of what you would think, because you would expect the guy would be on his natural side, would be his good side, and he switches to the other side because he can't hit a curveball. Well, in each case, they are better on their other side.
Maybe they can play them both at the same time and nobody will notice. Just put the bullet, make them stand right next to
I would guess Dylan's a better outfielder than the 4-time Gold Glover.
You can connect them by that rod that connects the fake dancers. Oh, well, never mind.
So a week from today, I think, maybe even yesterday, is the opening of spring training.
Yep.
And there's still some good free agents out there. Two guys the Cubs keep getting linked to. Bruce Levine claims that Zach Gallen is just going to fall in their lap. That his price is going to plummet, and his appetite to take a short-term deal is just going to land him right with the Cubs.
I'm starting to wish that that's what happens to Framber Valdez.
I'd be amazed.
I wonder if it really is a bigger deal about that whole catcher thing or what he did.
I don't know. I think it's front offices are all these fuckers with their weird slide rules. They convince themselves like that Framber doesn't strike out enough guys.
Yeah.
Still, even though all he does is get guys out and win. He's got a long enough track record.
He's got like a 60% drop ball rate.
Yeah, this shouldn't be like a big deal.
But this is my point. Like he's almost like the perfect guy for the Cubs to sign based on how they built their team.
I have a feeling there are a bunch of teams out there like the Cubs who would be like, "Ooh, if he was cheaper, we would sign him."
Yeah,
and I think they're just waiting.
Yeah,
like I would love whatever the Gallen thing is. I would love for that to be Framber Valdez instead.
That would be. Gallen does have pretty good. He did have a pretty good ground ball rate last year at 43.7. That would play with this defense.
I mean that's why that's where the Cubs,
Yeah, Framber's a better pitcher.
Like if they can get rid of
no doubt. I'm just saying, like, we haven't heard Framber's name connected to the Cubs at all. So
no, right? But it's funny. Who is Framber connected to?
None of the Royals, I think.
Yeah. Wow. Well, there was something that came out today. I think didn't Dana Brown with the Astros speak to the media today, and like someone asked him about Framber and said like they're still open to the possibility of bringing him back.
Yeah, why wouldn't he say that?
Yeah.
I'm just saying that's the only noise I've heard about Framber Valdez, because
it's kind of the same thing. The only teams I've heard connected to Gallen are the Cubs and the Diamondbacks, and it would be the same thing. Like the Diamondbacks are like, "You want to come back? You want to try one more year?
Right?
Want to come back for one more and be a free agent again?" And there's this whole thing that the Cubs, the holdup would be that they don't want to do a 1 year and an option with him. They want 2.
Oh, they want an opt out after the second year. They keep doing
because
that.
they'd have to give up a comp pick and blah blah blah.
I think that was also the holdup for Bregman and
I would think that because he was bad last year, I'd be perfectly content with an opt out after 1 year.
With Gallen?
Yeah.
Well, it's just the problem is
I think it's different with a hitter than with a pitcher. I mean, if you could give him the opt out after year 1 and if he underperforms, it's like whatever. If he's struggling with an injury, it's let him go. I guess the only way you get screwed is if you sign him to a 1 year with an option and then he blows his arm out.
Yeah.
You're paying him for year 2. But that could happen in year 2. You could get stuck with him for a 3rd year.
Yeah.
To me, that shouldn't matter. I would think the older the player, the shorter the contract, the better, I would think. And he's in his 30s now and he's a pitcher, and you've got, that's like the one thing you have depth at.
Yeah.
I wouldn't think that should be a big issue. I'd be perfectly fine with the flexibility of him.
Well, I think the other side of that equation,
pitching his ass off and leaving.
Yeah, the other side of that equation is because these guys are in the 3rd. Framber Valdez is 32 also. Like, it just makes sense for them to want maybe an extra year or 2. Like, it might be the opposite thing. Like, Bregman wanted to get back to free agency this year. Like, he didn't want to wait an extra year.
It was Sahadev and Mooney were talking about it, and they make it sound like the Cubs want 2 and he wants 1.
Oh, Gallen?
Like, he wants to be a free agent again after this year. He wants to basically get back, show he can pitch, and then cash in. And the Cubs apparently, and I would think it would be, I don't understand why the Cubs would be insisting on a 2nd year.
Yeah, I mean, they just want that control. But
they didn't do it for Cody.
It makes
much rather have had it for Cody Bellinger than for a pitcher.
It makes less sense to me that he'd want to be a free agent after this year with the possibility of a lockout happening.
Well, it's funny. There's 2 ways to look at that. I think that the perfect time to be a free agent is the year after. So this would be 27. Would be the year after the 27 season.
Well, that's
the year after, because it always seems like once teams have had a chance to look at the CBA and figure it out, that's the year everybody spends money.
Yeah.
And then they all start backing off and getting ready for the next CBA. But there's also some thought that there will be some teams who, once this is over, a lot of teams holding back money, like we don't know what it's going to look like. And there's a theory that when the lockout ends, there will be a bunch of teams with money.
Yeah.
Who will be like, all right, who can we get? We got to fill, like the Cubs, who will have like 8 guys on their team, who'll be like, who can we get? That's actually the thing that really scares me about Ian Happ, is that I feel like the lockout's going to end and the Cubs are going to look around and go, oh, we got a bunch of, well, let's just bring Ian back for one more year. Like, no, don't do that. Go get real players.
No, just throw.
So, I mean,
Matt
he
Shaw
made
out there.
him and his agent. I don't know who his agent is. Oh, it's Boris, right?
Ian Haps or Frombers?
No,
Gallons is
Boris.
Boris.
Yeah.
They may be looking at it like it'd be fine to be a free agent once the lockout ends.
Yeah.
Come off a good year, there are going to be a bunch of teams that all of a sudden are like, oh, I guess we do have money to spend. Give it to the weirdo with the glasses. I don't know.
I don't know either.
So then there's also, I'm doing a lot of scientific stuff to get ready for the season. I started a new MLB The Show franchise, and I signed Zach Gallen
Okay.
to the Cubs.
Okay.
And I had too many starters, so I was like, I got to trade somebody. So I traded, and the Orioles went for this. I think the Cubs should call. I traded Jamison Tyon and Carson Kelly to the Orioles for Adley Rutschman. Orioles said sure.
This is like the exact trade that I was proposing all season. I mean, it's a video game, so maybe not in
the
real
video
life
game
it would happen,
GM,
but
the video game Mike Elias. Is that Mike Elias? Is that the guy with the ball? I was like, sure, let's do it.
He wasn't fired, was he? I know they fired.
So
the
then
manager,
he didn't. No, they only fired Brandon Hyde.
Yeah.
There's a longer. This shows how realistic the video game is, though. So on the first one I decided we needed a new left fielder. So I decided I would take one I would play left field for the Cubs. So I did, and I decided to make myself a two-way pitcher, a two-way player. So I was pitching in, playing left, and I got too tired.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Every time I'd go to pitch, my thing was too low, and then every game it would be like, Andy Dolan looks like he could use a rest. So I'm like, fuck it. So I started over and made myself just an outfielder. I got rid of the pitcher part. Then the first time I did it, we traded for Adley. Adley was terrible. He was hitting 150.
Oh,
it was awful. Restarted with just me as the left fielder. Adley, he's hitting in the 330s.
Oh, wow. There you go.
So apparently it was catching me that was wearing him down. But
there you go.
I say all that for, I have, other than that, the roster, other than me and Adley, the roster is really the Cubs roster.
Okay.
And I was about 2 months into the season, or maybe a little longer than that. We're in Detroit going up against, it was 9-0 Edward Cabrera against Tariq Skubal.
Wow.
And so my left-handed lineup was in. So Tyler Austin's playing first base.
Wait, you're left or I got versus the left.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're really
Tyler
managing this like Craig, okay.
And I was like, I got to upgrade over Tyler Austin. He's just not good. And in the game, Tyler hits a home run off Skubal.
Oh, wow.
And stands at home plate and just throws the bat straight up in the air. And I said, I can't trade. Tyler Austin's a Cub for life. Just threw it into the sky.
Now, was there any?
We won 1-0.
Was there
any? Really?
Look
at that
commentary from the MLB The Show announcers about Tariq Skubal's possible holdout for an extension?
Yeah, Boog was all over it. He's like, I can't believe 30. They only offered him $18 million in arbitration. What a bunch of fucking idiots! And Chris Singleton's like, I agree, John.
Chris Singleton. Oh, that's who does the game?
It's Chris Singleton and Boog.
Yeah.
Yep. Sadly,
Boog was doing a Texas Tech Kansas game last night with Fran Fraschilla, best known for, he did a Mike Singletary one time in the locker room. He tried to motivate his team. He dropped his pants. Didn't work for him either. But he calls Boog John the whole game. He never calls him Boog. And I'm like, well, it's his name. I guess.
Yeah.
Right.
But it's funny because after a while, I was like, it is Boog. This is Boog, right? It sounds like Boog. Like, oh, Fran is just being formal. Just call him John.
Yeah.
So anyway, so the Cubs, I wanted the Cubs in real life to get competition for the great Tyler Austin. But after I saw what he did to Derrek Skubal,
I would.
We don't need that. We're fine.
That makes sense.
No.
Okay.
Tell Miguel and Duhar to shove it.
Johnny
Although
Long,
I think,
get comfortable in Iowa.
I think Pat has to be so excited that Eugenio Suarez is coming back to the Reds.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
19 or 16 times here.
But think about how much Pat would love having Miguel Andujar.
Oh yeah,
on the team. Oh, he would love that too.
Hey, it's got to make up for what he's losing with only half of the Contreras brothers in the NL Central anymore.
I mean, when you look at Williams, this is probably it for William with the Brewers too. I mean, he's getting to the contract part where they trade him. Oh, there could be no Contrerases for Pat. He might retire. That might be the thing that makes him retire.
That'll be the thing. That's it.
Or they can't get him out of the bathroom in the 5th inning. He just locks himself in. He won't come out.
Like, leave me alone. He's hugging a bottle of Malort.
Is Pat crying in there?
Pat, the Red Sox are coming to town next week.
They are? He opens the door. They pull him out, tie him to his chair. No, but fine, announce. You can't leave it to Zach. For God's sakes.
I did appreciate that neither Joniak nor Zaidman made the top 20.
It's funny,
yeah, the Jeff Agris list.
Yeah.
I wish Jeff had stuck with so he would do the top 20 and then he would take like 5 who he just would rip. And Cole Wright was on the top of the list because it's pretty clear. I mean, if this Bear season, Joniak doesn't make the top 20, Agrest has a real problem with Joniak's lack of ability.
Yeah.
I wanted to see a Joniak rip at the bottom of that page because he deserves it. He sucks.
I wish he would have made room for Rick Ball, the Blackhawks announcer.
Yeah, Rick Ball is really good. I gotta say.
Yeah, he's really good. And I do like Weidman. He's really good too.
It's weird that he had so many, like he had Canellis and he had like the actual sports anchors at the affiliates now, they're not. I know they still make good money, but that's not that job has zero impact now.
You know
it's
like none of those guys should be on the power rankings.
Right.
Well, it's funny.
They get 4 minutes of snoozecast. Big fucking deal.
I know zero opinions on any of those guys. I just don't listen to enough Chicago sports.
Nobody does.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the anchors on like 5, 7, 9, and whatever. Nobody watches that anymore.
You know who I think was listed on there that is like a nightly snooze fest is the guy that is like the studio host for the Bulls, Cam Smith. Not to be confused.
Oh
with
yeah,
the former Cup prospect.
I don't catch a lot of CHSM, but he is. It's his tone too. It really does. It literally like starts to like. He'd be a really good He'd be a good hypnotist because you just start to like you're just out.
Right. They had it so good with Jason Goff for him and downgraded.
Yeah. I was just thinking of someone and I forgot who it was. Never mind. I'll think of him again. Oh, Brad Palmer. The days of Brad Palmer.
Oh, the professor. Literally getting out the whiteboard and drawing up plays and explaining what happened. That's the kind of stuff you could actually use.
When I was in high school, and I was we had a TV station, a radio station in high school. Like went over like cable, but it was like very. We didn't have like obviously a huge range, but we had a station like that you could get a TV station, and for broadcasting class for the class part. We had to interview somebody and we had to like call around and bring in somebody to interview. And so I called Channel 7 and got Brad Palmer to come in to our studio. And I did
that's cool.
A little like half hour, I think it was 40 minutes. Somebody else got Mark Giangreco to come in.
Yeah.
And this was,
that's cool.
This had to be 1987 or so. So he looks at me and goes, Doug Flutie. I think I was working camera or something. Like, hey, Doug Flutie.
When I was watching I was telling you guys before we started, I needed something on the background while I was writing the other day, and I had I pulled up a random 1984 Cub game, and it was the day before the Sandberg game. And what caught my attention was Harry at the very beginning. We do this all the time, where people would like send notes up to the booth.
Oh yeah,
to tell him they were there, and he would read their names out. And he's like, "Oh, there's a contingent here from Rockford, from WTVO with sports director Kim Lepak." And it cracked me up because when I was in junior high, we had to do a thing on like what you want to do, and I wanted to be a sportscaster, I thought. And so I interviewed Kim. I called Kim at the station, and I interviewed him, and I wrote a thing about it. And then later, when I got into high school, I would play basketball against Kim at the Rockford Y. Kim had played at UW Lacrosse. He could really shoot. I mean, he was, but he was very hairy, like super hairy.
Like cracky.
And some of the guys would give him shit. They'd be like, all right, because it would be shorts and skins. They'd be like, all right, Kim, you're not fooling anybody. Take the sweater off.
Oh, so, the hijinks of the YMCA.
I amused myself with, so I was thinking of Kim. The most famous Kim Lee Pack story in Rockford was that he, when the Rockford Lightning first started, the CBA basketball team, they had a really good player named Pace Mannion.
Pace Manning?
Pace Mannion.
Oh, Mannion.
His kid played college basketball a few years ago. That's how long ago this was. I think he played for Arizona, maybe. Anyway, Pace was good, and he was playing for the Lightning, and he got a 10-day call up to the Celtics.
Okay.
So he signed for 10 days. He goes up. If you get a second 10-day contract, then at the end of it, they either have to send you back to the CBA. You can only do 2, or they sign you for the rest of the season. They renew him for his second 10-day, and one of the Celtics front office guys basically tells Pace, I think you're probably just going to be here. And Pace's like, okay, cool. So he lets one of the new Lightning guys take over his lease on his apartment in Rockford. So he doesn't have anywhere to go. They get to the end of it, sorry, we are letting you go. So he had to go back to Rockford. So he didn't have anywhere to go. And so he knew Kim from doing the game, from the sports guy. So he called him and was like, sure, you can stay at my place. That's no big deal. So what made me think of what happened was, because I'm not going to tell you what happened, so I'm just going to tell you something happened to someone else, was Harry's talking about the new pitchers the Cubs had just gotten. And that's why Rick Russell, who was starting the game for the Cubs, this might be it for Rick, because we just got Rick Sutcliffe and just got Dennis Eckersley. And Dennis had just come over from the Red Sox. But before that, he had been with the Indians. And when he was with the Indians, Rick Manning, his teammate, needed a place to stay. And Dennis said, sure, you can stay with me. And Dennis came home one day and found Rick and Dennis's wife wrestling on the couch. Little horseplay. That may have happened to somebody else.
Okay.
But one of my favorite things about Dennis Eckersley was, years later, he's broadcasting a game for the Red Sox. I'm watching it, and they're playing the Indians. And they show the Indians booth. And Dennis goes, oh, there's my old teammate, Rick Manning. He's married to my ex-wife. He's a hell of a guy. Eck didn't care. It's 30 years later, he didn't care anymore. Oh, he's a hell of a guy. Oh, a great teammate. What? Really, Dennis?
Well, didn't that whole episode kind of lead Eckersley?
I don't think it helped the alcoholism.
Yeah. Was he already?
Right.
I don't know.
Because he did, I think one of the, he did clean up, right? He sobered up. He's sober now, and he's a good guy, right? He seems like genuinely a good guy. But
he seems like a great guy.
Yeah, part of that is probably part of the whole thing is forgiveness, and kind of.
I guess, but he seems like when he watched enough he doesn't do the games anymore. But when he did the games, well, he famously did the Cubs Cardinals playoff series. He's the one who goes for the Schwarber hits the ball on the scoreboard, and all you hear Dennis goes, "What in the world?"
Yeah, that was awesome.
He talked about he was on the radio talking on one of the Chicago, and they're like, oh, it's too bad that the Cubs didn't keep you because they needed a closer about the time you were becoming the great closer in Oakland and whatever, and Dennis is like, yeah, that it wasn't going to work. He said playing for the Cubs was, I loved it, but it was the worst possible situation for me ever.
Because he was
at that time in my life, I had to go. In other words, you couldn't your day Dennis's day couldn't end at 6:00 every night, and then have him just hit every bar in town.
Oh yeah, right. And probably getting paying for every fourth drink, if that. I could imagine.
Would have been right next to me at Murphy's. Yeah.
All right, so I guess it's time now to find out who your favorite Cubs are. I will play along, but if you read the newsletter this morning, you already know who mine are. So the way this works on MLB Network is, now these are your favorite players. You don't have to be the best players. In fact, when you watch the one on the MLB Roundtable show or Hot Stove, that's what it is, Hot Stove, right? when they're picking guys like, Rogers Hornsby, it's like, that's not your favorite player.
Yeah.
Right.
He was dead long before you were born.
It would be like me picking Ryan Sandberg when he retired when I was about 3 years
Like
old.
for me, I started like every player who I picked, like, because we came over to, am I allowed to admit this in this day and age, right? Because I'm an immigrant. So we came over in 1980 and lived in St. Louis first. But like, so every player I have on my list is no later than 1984. Like that's my cutoff year. That's where I started paying attention to the Cubs.
So your favorite like second baseman is Tom Herr, and your left fielder is
well, my favorite right fielder is obviously George Hendrick.
George Hendrick, yeah.
I really had, it was between George Hendrick and Tom Bernansky. I really had to suffer.
Oleg's a big Willie McGee guy. Yeah.
Oh God. Fuck Cardinal. Fuck St. Louis.
So we started with first base.
Yeah.
And I originally thought, it's got to be Bill Buckner. I mean, I have a very famous picture in my house of me and Bill Buckner on the field at Wrigley when I'm a little kid. And I really liked Bill, but I became a Cub fan basically when I remember. My first Cub game was in 81, and Bill was gone by 84. He got traded to the Red Sox for Dennis Eckersley. And so it's like, and you think about it, like since then, the Cubs have had a pretty incredible run at first base.
Yeah.
From 1987 until
even before that with Leon Durham.
81
too.
From 81 on.
Well, because you went from Buckner to Durham to Grace, basically.
Yeah.
But you had three really long time guys. You had Mark Grace, Derrek Lee, and then Anthony Rizzo.
Yep.
So it's really hard to say that your favorite first baseman when your mind was Bill Buckner, who was there for two and a half of those years. So I had to, I really liked Mark Grace. I remember always being frustrated that he wouldn't lift a weight and hit a few homers.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I loved Rizzo. Everybody loved Rizzo.
Yeah.
I just figured it. I think it's Derrek Lee. It was one of those guys where he came over and he was just so good at everything.
Yeah. And to your point in the article, you made a good point. Like he took a step up. Like you knew he was good.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden he was like one of the best players in the National League.
Yeah. I mean, the Cubs were like actively in the playoffs in 03. The Cubs were going after him. Like, that's who they were trying to get to beat him. And then he did. He got a big hit in the 8th inning.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But he was a really good player, but it was no sure thing that he was going to be great.
Well,
and then he got there, and by year 2, he was amazing.
Well, he was an MVP candidate probably from the jump, right? Like he was really good in 04. He was really good in 05.
Famously, though, from Remember This Crap history, that we would all come to know the first few games of Derrek Lee, he started slow in April, and you had fans chanting "He-Sop Choi" because
Choi.
Yeah, exactly.
DeCipio for a while. I had a ticker. It showed because He-Sop got off to a raging start with the Marlins.
Yeah,
he's hitting like 340, and Derek's hitting 112.
Yeah,
right.
But we learned right away that I always used to joke that the Cubs should have given him a calendar that went January, February, March, June, July, because April and May were always a little rough. But we should have been used to it. Ryan Sandberg got like 4 hits in April in 14 years.
Yes.
Like, he was
famously.
There's a lot of great Cubs that did that.
Yeah, I first base for me was kind of the perfect one where like it was kind of easy to overthink. Like I was gonna go Rizzo, right, at first base, like because it just makes sense.
Yeah.
But I'm like, Mark Grace was fun for a team that really only had him and Sosa.
Yeah.
Like for a bunch of those 90s teams, they were, I mean, those were dark fucking times, man. Like the 90s were, even the 98 team, like I think maybe one of the worst teams to ever make the playoffs, right?
Yeah.
Like they were terrible.
No, they absolutely are. That
right.
Like, you look at the rest of that lineup.
Yeah.
It's like, how the fuck did this team win anything?
Yeah.
It was like
90s
Sammy Grace
dark.
and Henry Rodriguez, and maybe you'd get an occasional home run out of Jose Hernandez.
And so for me, Mark Grace was
and Henry's big year had been the year before, right? Isn't that the year he hit
97? Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Like I have Henry Rodriguez on my list, like as an also ran in left field. But Mark Grace, like the 90s were weird for me because I didn't like there were periods where I kind of didn't pay attention. But it was kind of went through college, and then I was in my 20s through the 90s. It was just sort of kind of like too cool for sports.
Right.
But Mark Grace was just sort of always there, and he really was a fun guy. Like he did seem like, he's kind of a meatball, and he was fun. So I just kind of didn't overthink it and just went with Grace. It would have been easy. Like you're right, it would have been so easy to go with. Like any of the other guys, like I could justify being my favorite.
Yeah, you can't really go.
Right.
They had so many good first basemen, Roy. You really can't go wrong. You just pick the one that you liked the best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Praz, tell us why yours is Carlos Pena.
I did actually really like. It is not Frank Schwindel. It's the most chalk answer you could imagine. It's Anthony Rizzo. Everything that's been said about him has needed to be said. Obviously the captain of of the greatest era in modern history of Cubs baseball, and it was more than just that. Play on the field was great. 3-time Gold Glover, Platinum Glove winner, great hitter. You knew what you were getting every year from him. Was there for his first game against the Mets in 2012. Much anticipated because they kind of did the same thing with him. People forget this. They kind of did the same thing with him that they did with Chris Bryant 3 years later in trying to delay the service time and everything.
It was the thing to do back then.
It was definitely the thing to do back then.
Well, but they also had all-star Brian LaHair at first base.
This is true. He was a close second for me. Brian LaHair was.
Like if you think that, that first half that he had really was fun. Like that was fun. Like it was shit on.
Yeah, he was raking on a terrible team. And the funny thing was, we knew that it wasn't sustainable. Right?
Of course.
And I think he did.
Yeah.
He was just riding it.
Yeah.
And immediately after the All-Star game, it was terrible.
Yeah. Well,
and he never played again.
Right.
That was his last season in the big leagues, was the year he was an All-Star.
It was perfect.
Do you remember, too, that he was terrible the entire second half of that season until the very last game of that season? I think he hit a home run and
got
a walk-off hit to win it.
Yeah.
And
I don't remember.
Girl that I was seeing at the time that I went to that game with, she was like, they can't let him go. He was an all-star. He got the game-winning hit on the last day of the year, and then he's playing in Japan the next year.
It's how I feel about Nishan Wright. Thank you very much, but I'm good with you not going.
Well, I mean, there's a reason Nishan got all those interceptions, because even when he was getting them, teams were still throwing at him.
Yes. Exactly.
It's like how Ian Happ gets all of his outfield assists. Because they run on him.
They're still running on him. Yeah.
Yes.
Henry Rodriguez, by the way, he did 98 was his big year with the Cubs. 31 was 85. Okay. He had a basically similar year next year, 26 and 87. But he played 11 years in the big leagues. Here are his home run totals each year: 3, 8, 8, 2, 1, 1, 36, 26, 31, 26, 20, 18, 2, 0, 0.
Ooh, I wonder what happened.
Was he hanging around with Sammy Sosa and Manny Alexander a little bit?
Yeah, I was gonna say he was.
I mean, he wasn't playing he only really played those 5. That's 2 teams. 5 years where he was a primary, where he actually played.
94. That was a shortened season. He played 104 games there with the Dodgers.
Oh yeah, and he hit 8 homers, 49 RBIs.
Yeah.
I liked H-Rod. They used to throw O. Henry candy bars on the field.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
When he'd hit a homer, when he'd drop a pop-up, for either. And both happened 31 times a year.
Oh, man.
Okay, for second baseman, I, of course, picked Heine Zimmerman because Heine is the greatest player of all time. He's named Heine. I should have gone chalk and picked Ryan, but famously, as much as I always appreciated Ryan Sandberg, I was always glad he was a Cub. I never really warmed to Ryan. I don't know why.
Yeah.
I was.
You were a Dunston guy. Yeah.
That's why I was rooting for the guy harder for the guy lining up to his right every day.
Right.
But for me, it's Javi. I would famously on the All Century team, I picked Javi at second and short because why not?
Yeah.
I just love that guy.
Yeah,
and I still do. I watch Tiger games and I get nervous when he comes up because I want Javi to get a hit. I don't want Javi to suck ever.
Yeah.
And as I made a point, Jed didn't do this on purpose, but I think maybe his greatest accomplishment as a GM ever is going to be that he traded everybody's favorite player for everybody's favorite player.
Yep.
He somehow turned Javi Baez into Pico Armstrong.
Yep.
So
that is pretty sweet.
I will say this. So I didn't really have the same sentimentality for Sean Dunston that you do. So for me, it was really easy, right? Like this was another one where I just didn't like. I just didn't overthink. Like it's it's Ryan Sandberg. There's a lot of 84 on my list. Just because it's just like that's the year for me that I got into base. It just everything started. And so 84 is kind of a big deal for me. So I didn't overthink it. That's Ryan Sandberg. And then obviously I put Javi at shortstop because it's just duh.
Larry, you put Larry Bowa. You didn't put Larry Bowa at shortstop?
Well, I was going to put Larry Bowa and Avante Jesus were very close together.
Avante Jesus spends $6.50 on a ticket. You can watch Avante Jesus steal a base. Have you heard the commercial with the
it was just amazing to me how he would hit foul balls out of the stadium.
Right.
I've never seen him more. That's the greatest athletic feat I've ever seen.
You
know, Avante Jesus hitting a foul ball out of Wrigley Field. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe that. And then literally it happened like 4 more times that inning. And I went, I guess that's really not that big a deal.
True. Yeah. I'll say
time to recalibrate what my 9-year-old self is impressed by, because this
just remember that.
I guess it was 8.
He should be in the circus.
The easy answer at second base, the easy answer at second base for, guys around your age would be Ryan Sandberg. The thing I always come back to at Ryan Sandberg is like and this was not at all his fault or anything, but because he was as great as he was, there were 2 other really good Cubs that just get kind of completely forgotten about because of like his attachment to those guys in Avante Jesus, because Avante Jesus was a really good player, before the trade and everything. And then Bruce Sutter. Yeah. I feel like the first thing everyone thinks about with Bruce Sutter that's a Cubs fan is the Sandberg game, but like he was a really damn good closer for, a long time, albeit on some bad Cubs teams and everything.
Yeah.
But like
I think it really depends on how old you are.
Of his career. That's true.
Like neither of those guys were considerations for me, neither Avante Jesus.
Yeah, I barely remembered. I would guess Bruce was still a Cub when I first went there. Maybe not. He might have already been gone. It's funny even if you say the word Bruce Sutter, in my mind, I immediately see him like angrily snapping the ball back
after the home run,
second home run. That's my first impression of Bruce. It's just like, son of a bitch, he did it again.
Yep. No, I'm with you. But that's sort of the thing about both of those guys, is that they were just simply both before my time as a Cubs fan, right? That's kind of where it's a little bit different. I'm not sure that that's necessarily true. Like I said, I think guys like, I think Huey and like there's an appreciation that they have for Bruce Sutter, those who started watching in the late 70s, right? Like, I think there's a real appreciation that those fans have for Bruce Sutter. I don't think there's anything. And Avante Jesus
possibly.
It's just last year with the Cubs was 80.
Yeah,
it's just
so
he was gone the year before.
It's just that like that's always the first thing you think of when those guys are brought up, is not what they did as a Cub during the time that they were really good as Cubs. It's things that are connected to Ryan Sandberg.
He had more saves for the Cubs than he did for the Cardinals.
He
Bruce Sutter did.
He won a Cy Young. He won a Cy Young award with the Cubs.
133 with the Cubs and 127 with the Cardinals.
I did not know that. That's interesting.
I've kind of long held this hot take that he is ahead of Lee Smith for best closer in Cubs history. Even though Lee Smith had more saves.
I think that's absolutely true.
Yeah.
That Bruce Sutter is better than Lee Smith?
Yes.
Yeah, Lee could. Lee got a little shaky sometimes.
Yeah.
All closers could,
especially in the 84 playoffs too.
I did like, though, I always feel like Lee scared the shit out of people because I don't think he could see the catcher. And they're like, he's throwing 100 miles an hour. He doesn't know where the fucking catcher is. How much can I dig in?
Look, I don't care what, like, I will not stand for Lee Smith. He made my list as like a favorite relief pitcher.
Jim Fry convinced me that Lee was a turd. That's why he traded him for Calvin Schiraldi.
Calvin Schiraldi, fresh off of blowing Game 6 of the '86 World Series.
Yeah. And Calvin Schiraldi was so good that he famously was the Friday starter, while Roger Clemens was the closer for those Texas teams, University of Texas.
Yeah. All right, second base for me. So, Andy, you said Javi. Did you go yet, Oleg? Do you want to go next?
Yeah, Ryan Sandberg.
Sandberg.
Because like I said, I don't have to worry about Sean Dunston being my favorite Cub, so I could easily put.
Don't worry about it.
I'd be done with
it was a It was a
Well, it could have been
honor.
like Brumley and Paul Owen, but
For sure.
Mike Fontenot.
Yeah. So who do you got?
Okay. So the number one guy I had listed was Javi. Just to be different, I'm gonna go with someone who I kind of identified with when I was first kind of coming up as a Cubs fan, and I'm gonna have a lot of like Jim Hendry era guys on this.
Sure.
And some 2016 guys as well too. I think after Javi, my favorite second baseman, probably not a super common answer, but Mark Grudzielanek. I really like Mark Grudzielanek on the 03 team. He was a really damn good hitter.
Yeah.
Really good fielder, a good clubhouse guy by all accounts. I really identified with the fact that, as a guy with a very short, basic first name and a Polish crossword puzzle ass last name like Grudzielanek or Praznowski, that, I see a guy like that and think, hey, maybe I could be doing what this guy's doing. So I'm going to go with Mark Grudzielanek.
I gravitate towards short guys.
There you go. Nice.
He was very similar to Sandberg in that he was also just a throw in a
that's true.
trade.
Yeah, a great trade by Hendry. Yeah, with Karros and him for Hundley.
Eric Karros and Mark Grudzielanek for Ted Hundley.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
It was amazing that the Dodgers thought they could do anything with Ted Hundley. That didn't make any sense, but yeah. Both those guys were really good for the 03 Cubs.
To your point a little bit, Praz, I kind of feel the same way about Mickey Morandini. Like, it was just a fun little player on that 98 team, right? He was on the 98 team.
Yes.
Mickey Morandini, yes.
Yeah. So it was kind of like the same thing. Like,
got him for Doug Glanville.
Yeah. Doug Glanville kind of made my also think about list. Because I really like Doug Glanville.
It's funny, too, when you look back on that trade. The Dodgers in 03 had like this amazing pitching staff, and like they had the eventual Cy Young Award winner that year in Eric Gagne. Their offense was terrible. And if they had any sort of decent offense at all, if they had, kept Eric Karros and Mark Grudzielanek and not got the rotting corpse of Todd Hundley, they probably would have been a playoff team. Because I think they finished like 85-77. They were, I don't know, like 6 games behind Miami for the wild card spot. So it is pretty crazy to like, think from the other side of that trade too.
Who did they have at the time? I don't know. Doesn't matter.
Oh, you know why they got rid of, I didn't know this. You know who their first baseman was instead of Karros?
Who?
Fred McGriff.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Eric Karros was extraneous to Fred McGriff.
And you know that 03 team, they had a plucky young catcher. Those 03 Dodgers.
That
his second season.
He claimed he got his first career hit off a future Hall of Famer, right?
First home run.
Or first home run off a future Hall of Famer. That's right.
Oh.
Except he wasn't a future Hall of Famer.
Except David Ross, who I remember they were on the Dan Patrick show the next day, and Grace was apologizing to Ross for being the one who gave up the home run. It's like, you deserve to hit a home run off a real pitcher, not off of me. He's like, so when you hit your next one, that's really your first one, because I'm batting practice.
And then it took him 3 years to hit another one.
Yeah, he didn't hit another one until he hit one off Andrew Miller in the World Series.
That's
all right, so
man. I hated
shortstop. I had to sit down and get spreadsheets out and go over all kinds of stuff. I couldn't sleep. I told the story a million times. I'll tell it one more time. So 1983, the Beloit gets a minor league baseball team. It's the Beloit Brewers. We head over to see them play the Quad City Cubs. Rick Russell is pitching a rehab start. He was addicted to pork chops, and he was trying to kick that, and so he was in Beloit, by a bad place. He was in Beloit. And my dad, who had met Rick a couple of times, because Rick would hunt on land near our house, is yelling over the dugout to him before the game. I'm like, even as a little kid, I'm like, what are you doing? And he says, I'm Mike Dolan from Durant. How are you? And he introduced himself, and Rick's, and they're just yucking it up, and they're chatting, and Rick sees me, and he introduces himself, and I'm like, hi there. And he goes, is there anybody on this team that you want me to go get? because we could get an autograph for it. And I'm like, is Sean Dunston there? Because I knew he was. He'd been the number 1 overall pick, the only time the Cubs have ever made it. And Rick disappears into the dugout. And about 2 minutes later, this skinny little guy who's not that much older than me, he's like 10 years older than I am, standing there. We had a very awkward conversation, and he signed my program. And Sean Dunston was my favorite player ever since.
When I get to my shortstop, I had a very similar interaction with the guy that I picked number 1.
Oh, Rick Russell introduced you to him?
Rick Russell did not introduce me to him. No.
It was Eddie Money. Wait,
that was
Rick,
no.
Wait, who was it? Don Money.
Don Money, Eddie's brother.
Oh, Don Money. Yeah. Boy Snappers manager
brother.
legend. Yeah.
Who's also related to Eddie Rabbit. No, I'm just kidding.
Don used to come out for the 7th inning stretch. They had a raffle, and he'd come out and take his shirt off and go, all right, he'd pull a number. Who gets 2 tickets to paradise? And he'd run around and he'd give him. And all it was 2 bus passes to Don's apartment. That was 2 tickets to paradise.
And there were 2.
Yeah, 2.
Just 1.
Yeah.
2.
Oh, not 1. No. And he didn't care. Could be a couple.
Bring whoever you want.
Just could be a couple of sorority girls. Didn't care. The very open-minded.
No.
Yeah, fine, whatever.
Oh man.
Yeah, mine's Javi.
Okay.
Javi Baez.
Yep. What can we say about him that hasn't already?
I don't have the same story that you do, but
it was which one of the 2016 Cubs was talking about Javi and said, I think it might have been Lester, and said, if you go back and look at like the most amazing defensive play that year by a Cub at third, short, second, and first, they're all Javi.
Jed said that with Cap.
Oh, Jed said that because Javi only played like 1 game at first base, but he did make a ridiculous play there. And they were like, it's Javi's going to get mentioned a lot in spring training to Matt Shaw because it's kind of the idea, right? Like, you don't have to be a utility player forever, but you do have to be one on this team, and just get good at all this stuff, and eventually you're going to be a regular again.
Yep.
Yeah.
Suck it up.
Famously, though, in his,
I was going to recommend a podcast for you.
Oh,
but it's not on anymore.
No, it's not on anymore. What do you mean?
Something happened to the guy. It's not on.
Uh-oh.
Matt Shaw reminded me of it.
Oh, God damn it.
Oh. Was it a podcast or was it a live performance at a college campus? I don't know.
Oh, God.
No. Famously with Javi, though, do you really identify him at any one position? Because like he was drafted as a shortstop, obviously. I know the year he finished runner-up for MVP, he played more second base than short.
Yeah, he took over short at the end of that, like during that season.
Right, when Addison Russell was getting...
I would guess.
Yeah, well, something happened to the Cubs shortstop.
Yeah.
No, not something happened. He did stuff that was
right.
Yeah, it didn't happen. Exactly. He was not a bystander. It was the thing he did.
Yeah.
I would guess Javi played more games at second for the Cubs than he did short by probably a decent amount.
I don't know. I don't care.
Because he who shall not be named was still there in 2019 too.
I cheated my way.
Yeah,
I cheated my way
career-wise, and I know he's played mostly short since. Career-wise, 891 games at short and 330 at second.
Oh, okay. Javi? Oh, yeah. Including because the Tigers, like, first 4 years, he was their shortstop.
2015, he played 1 game at first. 2016, he played 6 games at first. But yeah, like 80, even in like 17, he split it pretty even, 80 and 73 between short and second, with 80 at second. 16, he played 59 at second and 25. That's the thing. I mean, we forget he wasn't even around at the beginning of the 16th season.
Yeah. When he was the platoon advantage for John Lester, right? He'd play third base. I'd still maintain one of my favorite plays was just a routine throw that Javi Baez would make from third to first. It was just like never got above the first baseman's chest just a rope, just like he just did everything so smoothly and so wonderfully, and I'll forever love Javi Baez.
The defense they would employ when Lester was pitching, when they would have Rizzo basically stand on top of the batter,
right,
and Javi at third. You couldn't get a bunt down.
No,
you just couldn't do it. They literally just took it away from you and said, "Yeah, this guy can't throw to first. It doesn't fucking matter because he's not going to have to touch the ball. If you bunt it if you want, but you're going to be out."
There is a part of me that wanted to put Rizzo as my favorite second baseman. Like if Ryan Sandberg didn't exist,
kind of would have counted, for all those bunt plays.
You got to play third too, right? And he played third in the game.
Rizzo, did he?
Yeah.
And
are you thinking? You're not thinking of Mike Squires?
If you want him, have him as your relief pitcher too. He counts there.
Yeah.
All right. So my shortstop, I'm going to keep the theme going with guys who weren't here all that long, but there was a lot more hype around this guy when the Cubs got him. Probably the first time in my lifetime that they acquired, a top like 10 player in the prime of his career.
Jeff Blauser. It's got to be Jeff Blauser.
Not quite Jeff Blauser.
Damn it.
The current shortstop of the Chicago Cubs is currently married to a female soccer player. I'm going to go with a different guy, married to a female soccer player, and Nomar Garciaparra. Largely because he was the first Cubs player that I ever met and got an autograph from.
Interesting.
In 2005, if you guys remember, the Cubs used to have this like Cubs caravan thing where they would do events around the Chicago area in the weeks leading up to the Cubs convention, and
they go all over the suburbs and stuff, right?
Right,
they go far. Right.
One of those events was my grandmother. She was living at a CHA building like about 3 or 4 blocks away from Wrigley at Clark and Aldine, and that was one of the stops that the Cubs caravan made. And that day, I believe Nomar was there. One other player I'll mention too later when we get to this, but Dusty was there as well. But the first ever signature I got on a baseball was that of Nomar Garciaparra, and he even personalized it to me. So very, kind of disappointing Cubs career, especially when you get to 2005 and him tearing his groin in St. Louis, then coming back and not being the same at all. Yeah, that was a terrible injury. But for very personal reasons, it's Nomar.
That's nice. I like that. I have nothing against those. I think it was exciting.
No, and it should have been. It was so exciting when they traded for him, and it should have been. We got cheated out of that. He just didn't get to play very much for them. He was never really healthy. He was hurt when they got him, and he made it through that year, but he still missed some games and came back and ended up had to play third base.
I was going to say, remember, like Aramis had some kind of injury like in August of 2005, and they shifted Nomar over to third base. Yeah.
So the Cub caravan used to come to Rockford, and that was the first. We went to those before we went to the convention.
Nice.
And I met all kinds of people. I have autographs. I have cards here autographed by. I got great ones like Chad Myers and Damon Buford.
Chad Myers.
And,
oh my God.
Rodney Myers, who was from Rockford, to Rockford East.
The greatest Myers in Cubs history.
The most famous one we went to would have been '97 when they brought. They had it at the Hoffman House. It's like a restaurant. They didn't have it at a banquet thing. They had it at a restaurant. And they had the guys in this room. He went in and he's sitting at a table. And my girlfriend at the time kept going over and talking to Tyler Houston. And in fact, went and bought him a beer. I'm like, "Where are you going, Debbie?" And she's like, "Oh, I'm going to get Tyler a beer." It's like, "Oh, fine." And I was over talking to this poor kid who was there who just, Kerry Wood was there. I was talking to Kerry Wood. He was alone, basically.
Wow. That's cool.
And she came by and she says, "Oh, does he want a beer?" Kerry's like, "Yeah, I can't." She's like, "You're not old enough?" He's like, "Nope." She's like, "Oh, back to Tyler."
He's a good Texas boy, not trying to break.
He was really
laws.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm sure that he would.
Kerry was nice. Tyler Houston was funny. We actually hung out with him for a while because he was funny, and he was like, "Where are we?" He kept asking. He's like, "Where are we? Got on a bus. Where are we?" It's like, "Well, you're in Rockford. It'll be fine."
There you go.
Third base.
Yeah.
Another one where I had to really think about this. I had to, and I narrowed it down to 3 guys, and I easily picked the best one, but I narrowed it down to Ramos Ramirez, who was a great player.
Yep.
Still underrated, even though he's in the Utility Tunnel of Fame. Underappreciated, I think.
Yes.
At his time.
Very much so.
I agree.
Thanks to friggin' Bob Brenly all those years. Yeah.
Chris Bryant, who may be the best all-around player that I've ever seen. I mean, just amazing what that dude could do at 6'5". He was the best base runner. He could play every position on the field. He could hit for power. He was a great player.
And Andy, what do you get when you put both of those players together?
Yeah, you get the swag of Aramis and the all-around excellence of KB. You get Luis Valbuena.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Easy pick for me. And I explained in the column, I mean, it started off as just a joke, right? It was the Cubs were bad. Here's this guy. We're just going to make a big deal. They picked him up off waivers on the last day of spring training. I was like, oh, Luis Valbuena is going to be great. And it turned out he was fun. Like, he was okay. He was a productive player, and he was fun. Yeah. He did crazy shit. Like, he literally bat flipped a walk. And then he bat flipped a single off Scott Feldman.
Yes.
And he used to, and I have a screen grab of it because he did it all the time. If he checked a swing, he would appeal his own check swing to third base. Yep. And it's like, Luis, if they're going to ring you up, they're not appealing down there for you to have not swung. He was a good all-around player, and he probably should have been a utility player on the really good teams, but he was the price it took to get Dexter Fowler to come play center field for the Cubs.
Yeah, so be it.
I'll say this: he is not my favorite third base option, but he is probably like the most improvement of like any sort of feeling I had toward a position from one guy to the next, because I could not stand at all Ian Stewart in 2012. And I'll spoil it here. My third base pick is Aramis Ramirez. I was crushed when the Cubs let Aramis Ramirez go. And looking back on it, it was the right move to make when they were entering a rebuild. But just to replace him with a guy who like couldn't hit at all, even in Colorado, he comes here and, continues to be terrible. And he gets sent down, and then he gets in a bunch of fights with people on Twitter, including me a few times at that point. I was very happy to see Luis Valbuena even be, just somewhat good in replacement of that complete waste of a roster spot in Ian Stewart.
So, for me, I decided that I didn't want any part of trying to decide between Chris Bryant and Aramis Ramirez. Right? That's just too hard of a choice to make. Right? I'm not they're both like amongst my favorite players of all time. Like Chris, it's just such amazing memories. But it came down to me between 2 players. And I finally, I think, picked one, but I couldn't decide between Keith Moreland and Ron Say. And I think I'm sticking with Ron Say.
Hey,
like, it's just
pick.
like when I first started watching the game, like I didn't have like this history. Like when I first started watching the Cubs again, it was like 1984. Like I sort of had this kind of image. Like I read, I as much as I could, I read about baseball, and I would collect these baseball cards. My grandparents lived in the city at the time. And it was 84, 85, and they lived right across a store that sold Fleer baseball cards, or the Fleer packs, for like 25 cents. And I still couldn't quite figure out sales tax. So my grandparents would give me $1. I'm like, give me $1, thinking that I could buy 4 packs, but I could only buy 3. And then I would spread them out. But like Ron Say was like, just, I don't know what it was about him. And I just didn't have like this frame of reference for anything that happened before or anything like that. So like Ron Say, and he was pretty good, and he was a pretty good part of that 84 team. So so that's what I went with. But Moreland was always like this hulking, like weird guy to me. Right? Like, again, I just didn't have like this weird frame of reference. Like everybody on this team were like these giants. Like, again, I kind of got into baseball maybe a little bit in 82 from that World Series, like the Cardinals Brewers World Series. because we didn't move to Chicago till January of '83. So in October of '82, that's kind of how I got into baseball. But like, so yeah, it was Ron say.
There you go. If I can expand a little bit on Aramis, just,
Yeah.
probably like, I would say during the time he was here, did anyone hit more walk-off home runs than Aramis? You think of him with, the famous one in 07 where Len lost his voice against the Brewers.
Yeah.
He had one against the White Sox that I was at in 08.
Yep,
He had one against the Cardinals in 09. By the way, like probably the biggest like Cardinal killer the Cubs have ever had, at least maybe in recent memory. He raked against Adam Wainwright pretty famously. Hit the first ever grand slam in postseason history for the Cubs in Game 4 of that series against the Marlins. So I mean, I got nothing but amazing things to say about Aramis, and it not just crushed me when he left after 2011, but just I was actually a pretty big fan of Bob Brenly during his time as broadcaster of the Cubs, and to see him just trash Aramis that last year, and also friend of the program David Kaplan had his fair share of it too, but
well, Cap, he goes off on some wild tangents. You can't talk him out of. The thing that really pissed you off about Brenly was Brenly knew that Aramis had been told not to run.
Right.
Because they just needed him in the lineup. It was like you can't. He pulled his quad and he was playing with it and he couldn't run. Brenly would still rip him because Brenly was pissed that the Cubs were bad and they weren't playing well and he was just taking it out on a guy and it was completely disingenuous. It's like, well, fuck that guy then.
Yeah, you should know better. It'd be like if JD was going after Kyle Tucker at the end of this year for not running it out when it was very clear that he wasn't 100%.
Left field, another great number 24 Cub, and not Michael Tucker. It's Brian Dayette. I don't know why. I don't know why as a kid I liked Brian Dayette so much, but I did. And he was good one year. They got him in a weird trade with the Yankees, and I just decided I was at that age where I'm like, this guy's gonna be good. I'm gonna like this guy. And when they were handing out jerseys that year, it was the year that we finally got bigger numbers. Usually, the Little League numbers were like 1 to 12 or whatever, and that was pretty much it. And we had some in the 20s, and I got 24, and I actually wrote 24 on my glove, which is still there to this day. And
nice.
I just decided I was going to like Brian Dayette, and he was never anything all that great. But as I wrote in the thing that in solidarity to him in 1988, I also quit my Little League team to go to Japan.
That's nice. That's awesome.
But obviously the Cubs have had some great guys that you could pick for left field. And so there were, when I was giving some thought, like, am I really going to go with Dayette, or is that just a funny thing? But it's almost like that spot has been, honestly, Happ is one of the few guys to have played it that many years in a row.
Yeah.
They've had good players. Soriano was there for quite a bit because of his contract.
Right.
But there were a lot of guys who were there for just, it was like almost like a timeshare. It's like, okay, you get 2 years, and then somebody else is going to get 2 years. Somebody else is going to get 2 years. But they've had some, in my lifetime, they've had some really good players there. They've also had some, like when we were making fun at the beginning of the Robin Jennings, Scott Bullitt, Ozzie Timmons, Eddie Zambrano, Julio Zaletta. Those guys all played in like over 2 years. They were just rotating guys.
Yeah, it was bought like that. That's the 90s. That's what I remember about the 90s, right?
Even the infamous the 98 Cubs, they thought they solved it. They stuck a first baseman in left field, and they dropped a fly ball in Milwaukee, and that's all anybody remembers him for.
Yep.
But Brant Brown actually had a really good year there.
He was good. Yeah.
Brant Brown should be remembered much better than
it's amazing that he still takes that much shit for a drop that in the end didn't affect them at all.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, it was.
It didn't cost them a playoff spot. It was traumatic because
sorry, go ahead.
I think it's traumatic. I think we were just rubbing it as being traumatic because it almost killed Ron Santo.
Well, yes, Santo's. Oh no! That lives on forever. It's also, I mean, it's how many times does it ever happen in a game where there's a routine play and you don't make it and you lose? Like you go because 3 runs scored out. It's not like, I mean, it's not just that he dropped it because there were 2 outs and everybody's
even
running.
Sayas from a couple years ago, even Sayas it scored a couple runs like that gave up the lead, but they didn't.
Yeah, and he did it in the 8th. He didn't do it in the 9th.
Yep.
They still got to bat. I mean, it was the perfect it was perfect to set up for humiliation for Brent.
Yeah.
It's the final out of the it's the 9th inning. This is you're gonna win. They were gonna, I don't know what they're gonna be a game and a half in the wild card, whatever, and all of a sudden you're not. And infamy.
For sure.
Because he had 3 walk-off homers that year.
Yeah, he was. Brad Brown was really
he
was going to be remembered for a completely different thing if he'd have caught that fly ball.
He did so
It'd
much
be
more.
like, hey, remember that
team.
Brad Brown was good. Remember that?
Yes.
And then he got traded for John Lieber.
Yep.
John won 20.
Yeah.
So.
And John Lieber's going to make my honorable mention, favorite pitcher for favorite starter list. For me, left field is kind of simple. Like, I really left field was sort of an interesting exercise for me, because it really, for me, kind of highlighted the difference between my thinking back and how I felt about players and how I felt about the player at the time. Because it's very easy for me to look back now and think that, man, Soriano was a fun ball player. Like, that guy was just he had skills, and he had this guy was like Eric Davis reincarnated. Like, he was really, really good. He hit the crap out of the ball, and he ran it was just, he was really, really good. But it was just frustrating because at the time it was all around the Moneyball era, and he wouldn't take a walk, and but he was really, really good, right? And it was just, he was a fun player. And thinking back on it, I can look at it, but he's not my favorite left fielder ever, Sarge.
Yeah. Sarge. Okay.
Yeah.
Sarge is a great option too. I didn't want to make.
I mean, it's again, there's a lot of 84 on this team, just because that, like I said, that was sort of the year that kind of started everything for me down the Cubs path. I remember the 83 White Sox team really well. I remember the 82 Cardinals, Brewers World Series teams really well. I remember some of the players, like the All-Star teams and stuff like that. But that 84 Cubs team was.
I will say I am a little bit jealous that I wasn't around in that era, just knowing that from 82 to 84, if you're within 100 miles of Chicago, you're watching some really damn good baseball with, the Brewers making their run in 82. And we have no reason to hate them at that point because they're in the American
Don
League.
money.
Yeah. And then, if you're someone like me who's tolerant to the White Sox, you can maybe enjoy the 83 White Sox until Tito Landrum rips your heart out. And then 84 with the Cubs making it for the first time in damn near 40 years and being 1 game away from winning a pennant.
Yeah.
That
84 is pretty great.
That is pretty sweet.
And then the Bears, the Bears were on there.
And the Bears as well too. Yeah. That's right.
The Bulls drafted Michael Jordan in 1984.
Yep.
Right.
Man, we were in for 20 years of amazing Cubs sports.
Yeah.
Chicago sports.
Well, yeah.
Chicago sports.
Yeah. Right.
20 years. I mean, surely nothing wrong would have possibly gone.
No, not at all.
The era of dominance from all the teams.
Even the Blackhawks were good.
Huh?
Yeah.
In the 80s. They had Eddie Belfour.
And the 90s too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah.
Before I get to my actual pick for left field, I share in your sentiments that you said about Alfonso Soriano.
Mm-hmm.
I got a lot of affection for the Hendry era, and that 07, he carried that team down the stretch in September.
Yeah, so
he was
I pulled it up. Here's his September. He hit 320, 354 on base, 754 slugging. Remember, he's leading off. 754 slugging for an 1108 OPS, 14 homers and 27 RBIs. And I think he led off I don't even think I'm exaggerating. I think he led 7 games off with home runs.
Did you what's
some
that
ridiculous amount?
Because that was the era, that was high OPS era, 900 was, remember, that was the whole, somebody said Miguel Cabrera's growing trees, because there really were a lot of guys who were in the 900. It was, does it give you an OPS plus for September? It was probably not as high as you would think. Still amazing.
Well, I'm looking because it breaks it down. It gives an SOPS plus, which is, I'm trying to figure out what's the S. Number greater than relative to the league's split.
Yeah.
Oh, for the month. So for the month of September, he was a 177. OPS plus.
You would think with 1100 it'd be, the 200s, but yeah.
He actually in June hit 336, 379, 6. That was actually at a better month in June.
Yeah.
With 11
Oh,
homers
wow.
and 18 RBIs.
Well,
The problem with Soriano was he came over, he was going to be the center fielder.
Yep.
And he hurt himself. And
Yep.
he never really stole bases for the Cubs.
Yeah.
Actually, this year he had a fair amount. He had 10, 15, 18, 19. I mean, I don't think he was he was a guy who would steal 40 bases in a year. And with the Cubs, he wasn't that anymore.
He was not a
18.
40 guy. Yeah, that's right.
He stole 41 the year they got him. He had 41 for the Nats. And with the Cubs, 19, 19, 9, 5, 2, 6, 18.
Right.
And that was the year he went back to the Yankees. That was a split. 10 with the Cubs, 8 with the Yankees.
Yeah.
You know what's funny is I feel like a lot of the sentiment about the sect of Cubs fans who don't particularly like Alfonso Soriano, I know our good friend Chuck is one of those people.
Yeah.
I feel like one of the reasons why that is because of the position switch, because that did kind of take away some playing time from a pretty popular Cub at the time in Matt Merton, who, was kind of reduced to a bench role at that point after getting off to a nice little 1.5-year start to his career at that point.
Well, and I don't remember why they did it. He'd only been a left fielder for a year, and the Cubs were playing fucking Mike Fontenot. Why didn't they just put him back at second? I know he was bad, but
he's terrible.
Could have been. Anyways,
terrible's fun. He was fun, terrible.
Yeah, he's like I said, he was a fun ball player. I will have I'm gonna have fond memories of Alfonso.
There's how many errors he made.
They signed him to the big contract. He was already in his 30s. His decline was pretty. I guess it wasn't that precipitous, but he never lived up to the contract. He was really, really good.
Yeah.
He didn't have quite the contract.
All right, I think I know why they didn't move him back. He led the American League in errors 5 years in a row.
Okay. At second base, that's
hard
to do with a short throw to first.
Well, he led at second. We've learned over the time that this number is position relevant. So he made the most errors at second base 5 years in a row.
Okay. Well,
so that's why he was a left fielder. Never mind. I take it
back. Anyways. I could go on and on about my love for Alfonso Soriano, but
and he was terrible in the playoffs for the Cubs.
They all were
fine. Yeah, exactly. They all.
Yeah, but everybody was. You're right. No, but everybody.
If we were going by guys who were full-time left fielders, he would be number one for me. I'm using a bit of a cheat code here because I learned this from Andy and Donahue when they were doing the left field Cubs. Remember this crap that. The team leader in games played in left field on the 2016 Cubs was Chris Bryant.
Chris Bryant, yep.
So I'm going with Chris Bryant for my favorite left fielder for the Cubs. And,
that's fair.
As we can say, everything that's been said about it has probably been said. MVP that year. It's just so frustrating that, we rag on Ian Happ a lot, but just the simple fact that, like, the greatest Cubs team of all time had a guy who was naturally a third baseman playing the majority of the games, or not even maybe the majority, but clearly not a guy who would win a Gold Glove in left field. And that team won a World Series, and you have this guy who's like a very underwhelming hitter and a pretty good glove, and they think that's how you win, and it's not the case. So Chris Bryant's my left fielder.
Yeah, I mean it's super interesting that Chris Bryant was a kid and to be able to like just go out there and play it.
In 2016, he played third, left, right, first, short, and center.
Yeah, I was gonna say I remember him
played every position. He didn't play second, and he didn't catch or pitch.
Yeah, and I'm sure he would have gladly played second base if they asked him to.
He wasn't that good though. He's only 7.3 WAR.
No,
so fucking good.
Hey, he didn't win the MVP unanimously. All right, how good is he really?
That year was so good. That was so much fun. Holy cow!
Do you know who got the other first place vote?
I do. A future Cub.
2016. Was it a Cub?
A future Cub at the time.
He became a Cub.
Oh
yeah.
Who was it?
Daniel Murphy.
Daniel Murphy.
At the time.
Are you
the
kidding?
Who the fuck voted for Daniel Murphy?
Yep.
So wait. So he got all but one.
Correct.
He got 29 of the 30 first place.
Yeah.
Murphy got
who the hell? Oh man.
This is quite a list. So there's Cub, Chris Bryant, future Cub, Daniel Murphy. Should have been Cub, Corey Seager. Too tall to play
Yeah.
shortstop. Got to take
Yeah,
Albert
right.
Almora. Anthony Rizzo finished 4th. Nolan Arenado,
Wow.
who the Cubs could have had if they wanted, but they
Yeah.
didn't. They
Right.
turned the Rockies down. Then you get Freddie Freeman, Joey Votto, Yoenis Cespedes, future Cub Justin Turner finished 9th. I think we're running out of. There should be more Cubs on here. Addison Russell, 19th.
Yeah.
Okay.
He had 99 RBIs there.
I'd have
Kyle
to
Hendricks, 23rd.
I was going to say,
Yeah.
I would have to think Lester and Hendricks would be up there because they were 2nd and 3rd for
Yeah.
Cy Young.
Yachty, 23rd.
Piss off.
Future Cub
although-
manager, Yadier Molina.
Seen in Cub clothing pretty recently, yeah.
Yep.
Yadier Molina.
All right. So we're going to left field or center field or right field?
Center field.
Center field.
So center field for me was because it's favorite. It was pretty easy. They've had good ones. They haven't had that many good ones really, but they
Yeah.
had a couple guys immediately.
Yeah.
Bob Dernier,
Yeah.
and Dexter was
As-
the center fielder on a World Series team, and Damon Buford. I mean, who didn't love Damon Buford?
As
Sleeves.
you and
What a player.
Huey have opined, this is actually the real positional drought for the Cubs.
Yes,
not
this is
third
the
base.
worst.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is the position they've had the hardest time filling, and I have a feeling it's
Right.
filled for a while because
Yes.
my choice is the current center fielder, Pete Crow Armstrong.
Yeah.
It's-
Great choice.
It's amazing to me. It's when you look at him, you remember how young he is, but then he doesn't act like that.
Yep.
Like he's like the most mature 24-year-old
Well,
in the
he
world.
does.
Like he
Yeah.
knows what to say. He's sincere. He does whatever. I mean, when you see the 24-year-old in him, it's like when he strikes out and he spikes his helmet into the ground,
right.
ground over and over and over again. But he just it's a guy it's funny. You would think that the guy who grew up in California, raised by 2 actors, would be this weirdo, and he's not. They raised him right. He's just
Right.
he's
So that's what's funny. He is mature, but he also is clearly having the fun of a
Yes.
24-year-old.
yeah. He
Paints his hair. Like he is who he is unapologetically. Which I think is why him and Caleb get along, obviously. And I think he's just like it's very you're right. It is impressive how mature he is, but he's also it's clear he's 24 because he really is having fun.
Yeah.
And he really and that's fun to see.
it's almost unfair that he's the center fielder at Wrigley because it's the smallest center field in baseball.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he can cover every inch of that
Yep.
center
Yep.
field. And he gets to top speed so fast.
Yep.
You'll see a ball hit to the gap and you're like, well, shit. And all of a sudden Pete arrives and slows down to catch
Yep.
the ball. It's
Yeah.
like, how the fuck did he do that?
Yeah.
And he's getting to balls that are basically right where, Ian Happ or Kyle Tucker or Seiya Suzuki would be just regularly
Yeah,
positioned.
think how
to
easy
start
it is to play a
yeah.
corner at Wrigley with him in center.
Right.
It's really the reason why you're fine with like Hap and Seiya out there. That's it.
Yeah, it's how you can get away with it. Yeah.
But he's just so good that he'll cover whatever. That's like it. The Cubs are a perfect team to go out and actually use left field to get offense and not have to worry about it.
Right. Which is why settling for the
For Ian Happ,
240,
so,
for
yeah,
the 240 hitter with the
Yeah.
402 slug now is
Yep.
like, why? What?
yeah,
You don't get it.
yep,
Yeah.
you're 100% right.
Yep.
I kind of cheated on my center fielder. PCA would have been a good pick, and I'm right there with you about everything you said.
You
I
went
like
with, Chris, you went
obviously
with Chris Bryant.
I didn't go with Chris Bryant in center field. I did go with Kosuke in center field.
Kosuke.
Like, I just didn't go.
Okay.
Yeah. Like it was, I remember when they signed him, it was just such a big deal and it was just so much fun. And it was just like, just the feeling that you get like, holy cow, the Cubs are actually a player in the Japanese market at the time. Like everything was about
Yeah.
the West Coast. And it was just this amazing sort of like a wave that sort of came in and it was great. And then, yeah, like he obviously didn't live up to the hype as much, but he was really good for
You know
a
what
couple
though?
of years.
Go back and look at his baseball reference page.
Yeah.
Like
yes.
there were like years where, he was probably hyped up to be better than this, but like
Yeah.
there were years where he was like above league average as a hitter. And
yeah, there were a couple years in both 09 and 10. Yeah, you're right. He was above, like, and he had a pretty good year in 2010. But like, he was never quite the home run hitter. His batting average was always fine. He was kind of an on base guy at a time when, like, it was
right.
He was a perfectly respectable ball player. He never lived up to the hype. But man, it was like when it was just fun when they signed him.
He was his rookie year when he was 30 years old. He was really bad in the second half and in the playoffs. And Lou, that whole rant was Lou wanted a better option. And it wasn't even to replace Kosuke. He's like, we have to get a left-handed bat for this lineup. We just don't have one. You can't rely on Kosuke. And that started the whole weird machinations where they got rid of DeRosa. They brought in Milton Bradley, and that was just, going to be terrible. But his second half really was bad. He was He was an all-star. But he was an all-star because the Japanese fans voted him in. But he was good. Like, he wasn't an embarrassing all-star.
Yeah.
He was 279, 383, 408, 7 homers, 36 RBI. Second half, 217, 314, 326.
Yep.
With 3 homers and 22 RBIs.
Yeah.
He didn't strike out a lot, ever.
Yep.
And he was pretty solid after that. But he was never... Seiya is the player Kosuke was supposed to be.
Yes, 100%. Yes,
exactly. That was perfect analogy. Yep,
player list too.
I'll throw this out.
He will live on forever because there will always be. We'll never be able to go to a Cub game without seeing somebody in a Fukudome jersey.
Is my home. I had one of those shirts when I was a 14-year-old at the time. Yeah.
I had one.
Not the racist one that.
No, I had the fuck you do me one, like everybody else.
Nice.
I remember watching him because he played in the first World Baseball Classic.
Yeah,
and I'm watching it. I'm like, oh, that's the greatest name I've ever seen.
Yeah,
like the Cubs should get this guy. And then like 2 years later, they did.
And then
Henry was probably
a few years later.
Who's the fuck you do me guy? What's his? Let's get him.
That was sort of the thing. And that was sort of the thing about him, right? He said he was a star, but he went through his prime, and he was 31 by the time the Cubs got him. So he was already kind of not older, but he was already kind of past his prime. And like I said, it was just them getting him. It was just so exciting, and it was it was fun. It was fun.
He left
coming off of 07 and how disappointing 07 was, and he caught out. Like did he hit the home run? He hit the game
opening day. Game tying home run on opening
day. He hit a 3-run homer to tie off Eric Gagne.
Yes.
On opening day. The Cubs ended up losing.
Yeah.
But he hit the tying home run in the rain. Yeah, I mean it was a debut to remember. Like we thought, oh, this is everything. He went back to Japan in 2013 when he was 36 years old and he played 9 more years.
Yeah.
I often
3 years ago he was still playing.
A ball player.
Yeah. I often joke that before, the plans were set for a renovation of Wrigley and, who knows what was ever going to happen with, Wrigley kind of in, a very, very old status at that point and not looking like any of the modern stadiums. I kept joking with a couple of my buddies. They should build a dome and call it the Fuck You Dome.
The Fuck You Dome.
Yeah.
Well, that's what maybe I'll buy the naming rights to the Bears one in Gary.
There you go.
I'll call it the Fuck You Dome.
I'm sure Kevin Warren will be on board with that. All right. So my center fielder, it'll be fairly chalk. I'm gonna go with Dexter Fowler. You go, we go, as Joe Madden once said. Probably my favorite home run ever hit. Game 7 of the World Series to lead it off. It's like him and Kenny Lofton for like best leadoff hitters of my lifetime for the Cubs. Guy was an on-base machine.
It's so sad because Kenny played 3 months for the Cubs.
Right, exactly.
I get what you mean. I mean, I know it's completely valid, but it's like that's how low the bar is in center.
Yeah.
It's like remember those 3 months of Kenny Lofton? That's right. He's third on my list.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. But I mean, Dexter, like, and to this day, like, I'm glad that like they have a 2016 member on, the marquee set every now and then, and it's him, and like he's, a great personality, like adds a lot to it, and was a great personality on that team. Clearly, probably like one of the great like surprise moments in Cubs history was spring training of 2016 when he was still a free agent. And it was a few days after it was announced that he had signed with the Orioles, and then he randomly shows up at Sloan Park and he's a Cub again. I'm like, all right,
I mean,
let's
it's
run
funny.
it back.
There's a real what if there, because if they didn't re-sign him, at some point that year, they were going to have to go find a center fielder because they just didn't. Because Albert was never ready, but Albert wasn't ready.
It's funny.
And I don't know what they would have. I mean, would it have ended up being? Would Chris Bryant have ended up being the center fielder?
The thing,
it's not crazy to think that they might have just done that. He certainly could have handled it.
The thing that I was always under the impression that they were going to do before they signed Fowler was they were going to make Hayward the center fielder and just have
they probably could have done that. Yeah. Well, honestly, they ended up having to do that at times over the next few years.
Right.
But I'm glad it worked out the way it did because then, Chris Coglin, they needed a left fielder then, so they got Chris Coglin back, which is so much fun.
Well, in fairness to them, they thought it would be Kyle Schwarber until he tore his knee up.
Yeah. Yeah, it was going to be. And then all of a sudden, it was, oh, crap. Well, I guess we might as well bring Coglin back. Actually, that's what's going to happen to me with Happ, isn't it? They are going to get rid of him. And then early in the first season he's gone, they're just going to go bring him back.
Yeah.
So right field, we've got good choices in right field.
Nice.
I didn't even put Seiya among my considerations, but he certainly is. I've always really liked Seiya, but it's very difficult when you're competing with Andre Dawson and Sammy Sosa. So I just split I cheated. Well, I didn't have to cheat because we have a DH, and Nationally didn't have the DH full time until 2022. And so you didn't have to pick a DH for DH. So I put the Hawk in right, which is the only right answer of those two, because even on one knee or no knees, he was still an amazing right fielder. And I've never seen any asshole that could throw the ball like him. Compared to Ichiro, I think it's the closest I've seen since. I mean, that arm was, I always think there's that highlight when Mitch Webster's still with the Expos. He hits a ball over first base. It goes kind of down into it goes down into like that little crevice just past the bullpen along the wall. And Mitch is like, I got a triple. And Andre runs down, grabs it, and Mitch is out at third base by 20 feet. And the shock on his face that the ball is there. He's like, what? And it's very equivalent to Ichiro, because Ichiro, in one of his first games with the Mariners,
Terrence
Long out at third base, and it was the same thing. You could have hung Laundry on that throw. It was amazing. Yeah. And Long doesn't even get Long's not going to slide because he's walking into third base. And all of a sudden, he's just out. I loved Andre Dawson, and it's a shame he was hardly ever healthy for them. I mean, even when he was, and I wrote, I mean, he's so tough. He played, but he was in rough shape most of the time, and he still was a really productive player. He was a great player, obviously, in 87. He had a good 88. In 89, his knees wore out late in the season, and he was...
I was going to say...
He was bad in the playoffs.
If I remember right, yeah, every bit as bad in the playoffs in 89 as, like, Aramis and Soriano get blamed for in 07 and 08.
He kept coming up with runners on, and you thought, just once. Just Andre's going to get one hit.
It would have been perfect for him to get that big hit in 89. Yeah, for me, I didn't overthink this one either. I actually didn't leave any room for Sammy on my favorite players roster, but whatever. Like, I think Sammy was, like, at the time, it was, I love Sammy Sosa now. It was very much kind of a bit of a love-hate relationship with him. Not so much love-hate, but it was kind of love and, oh man, I wish he didn't do what he just did type stuff, like missing the cutoff man. Stuff like it's stuff that ultimately didn't really matter that much. But I love Sammy, but I didn't have any room for him, so I had on, like, for me it was simple. Like, I knew Dawson is my right fielder, and then Seiya's my DH, and I just went with that.
Gotcha. I went with Sammy, my first ever favorite baseball player. You know, steroids or no steroids, he was great. I don't care what anyone says. Like, that man will be a legend forever for me. Okay, maybe not so much with recent news about Sammy, but just trying to remember the good times with him. I'm sticking with Sammy.
Was he on the island? Is that what you're saying?
You haven't seen those reports lately?
Did he?
No, was he? Is he really?
Yeah, there was some rumors going around. Yeah, that he is on a certain list.
Is he?
It says the unverified. It's one of those where they get the tips.
Oh yeah.
And
Oh, I
in
did see
04
something
or
like
05,
that.
he went to a party hosted by Sir Irvin Wilzig, which was also attended by Jeffrey Epstein and Donald Trump.
Yeah.
But it doesn't say he went to the island.
Okay.
Yeah.
If he stayed away from the island, then I'm not taking anything away.
It's funny though. I did a rewatch of this whole Cub the other day, and that's the scene where Ron and Pat fly to Epstein Island. It plays completely different now. I mean, I didn't. It's like, wow, really?
Oh God,
That's funny.
jeez.
All right, so we got Andre, and Sammy.
Yeah,
and
we
then,
need your DH, Praz, because I think both Andy and I have given our DHs away.
Okay, this is a little tough. Did you guys go with a recent example of an actual DH for the Cubs, or did you go with?
No, I went with Seiya.
Kind of
I didn't know what they said. Seiya's one of my
you
my current favorite player.
You didn't have to pick you didn't have to pick a real DH.
Yeah.
Okay.
I did, but like I said,
I didn't. I took Sammy Sosa. Sammy never DH for the Cubs, but
yeah, I think a couple of those games against the White Sox and 03.
There you go. There's your loophole.
Yeah. I went with the guy that should still be here and should still be the designated hitter for the Cubs. I went with Kyle Schwarber.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I because I put Brian Day out and left, I ended up leaving Schwarber off my list.
Because I put Schwarber at catcher.
Oh,
there you go. Nice.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I love that guy, and I'll never understand why I just gave him away for nothing.
Yep.
Ever. It's completely indefensible. I don't know. Jed can go on and on about.
Correct.
He picked Ian Happ over Kyle Schwarber.
Yeah, that's even worse.
Well, first he picked John Peterson.
Wouldn't eat
over...
Jason Hayward.
Yeah.
Wouldn't eat Jason Hayward's money.
Right.
Decided Happ was a better bet in left field. Fuck off.
Bless you.
Yeah. So I go to my catcher like it was. It came down to Jody and Wilson and great. I even thought about Miguel Montero, but I'm going to shoehorn Schwarber in here somewhere, and that felt right.
It works.
Yeah. That's what he was drafted
I
as.
thought all the greats like Rob Bowen. I tried to get Rob Bowen on there.
Yeah. Sometimes
Jason Kendall.
Yep. Yeah.
Robinson Chirinos the first time, not the second time.
Yeah. Not the second time. All right.
Well, second time would have to have been as a second baseman. Remember that one game?
Martín Maldonado was close the top of that list. They've had a lot of great catchers.
I mean, I'm sure you would have gone back to Rick Rona.
I know where you're going with this.
Well, actually, I picked Rick. Well, yeah. So Joe Girardi and Rick Rona were platoon guys, but the reason they were catching is because Damon Berryhill was hurt. I loved Damon Berryhill. I thought that guy was going to be a star.
Yeah.
When he fucked up his shoulder and it never got better. He had a decent career as a backup in Atlanta. But he was a switch hitter with decent power. He was a really good catcher. And he was going to be a thing, and he just didn't. And he did a rehab thing for the Rockford Cubbies, and I went and watched him play.
Nice.
So that just cleared the field for me to pick the best of all time, Henry Blanco, Hank White, the greatest catcher the Cubs have ever had.
That's what I originally thought you were going with.
Yep.
And I like to point out, and this is a true stat, when he came to the Cubs, his career average was .214. It was the lowest batting average of any active player with more than 1,000 at-bats. And he played parts of 4 years for the Cubs, and he hit .255 for the Cubs. He was like a legitimately useful backup catcher. And he's a great defensive catcher. Great guy.
Yeah. I mean, there's a reason why he's a coach, and there's a reason why. There's a reason.
I think he played 18 years in the big leagues. There's a reason.
Yeah.
Because he was the perfect guy he was a backup catcher who never was going to bitch that he didn't play and was going to be useful if he needed him. 16 years. And he won a World Series with the Cubs as a coach and a World Series with the Nationals as a coach.
That's right.
He's a good dude.
And
honestly, he played for the Cubs for 4 years before I ever heard him talk.
Yeah. And Andy, keep in mind that neither of those teams have gone back, have even sniffed the World Series since Henry Blanco left.
That is a great point, Oleg. That is a great point. Yes. Oh, man.
He is currently the manager of the Sultans de Monterrey of the Mexican League. Oh, he's living in Monterrey, Mexico.
I'm sure they're a Mexican League favorite.
That's not a bad place to live, Monterrey, Mexico.
There you go.
Is that
although
a
light hitting player, he was regarded as one of the best defensive catchers of his era.
Yeah.
If Wikipedia says it. It has to be true. Yeah, I wonder if he's on. He got canned with Dave Martinez, so he's looking for a big league job.
Yeah. All right, for my catcher, this is probably where you guys are going to differ way more from me. I know you guys have. I think I've heard Andy say that bad things about this guy.
What?
I don't care. I love him. He was
Paul Bacco?
He was not a great defensive catcher. No, it was not Paul Bacco. But it was a guy who was on one of the same teams as Paul Bacco. Probably the nicest guy I have ever met, that I met on multiple occasions when I was a kid. He was part of that same Cubs caravan with Nomar. I'm going to take Michael Barrett.
Michael Barrett.
I didn't appreciate at the time like how bad of a catcher he probably was, but he was one hell of a hitter. I was there for the game on the South Side where he punched out AJ Pierzynski, and that made me just love him forever. It's funny, you know, I met him probably like 3 or 4 times during his time as a Cub, and was very nice to me the entire time. And we're talking about a guy whose two most famous moments as a Cub was him punching someone and then him getting punched by Carlos Zambrano. So, sorry, I know you guys are not the biggest Michael Barrett fans, but I'm a huge Michael Barrett fan.
I'm very indifferent towards Michael Barrett.
His OPS is from 04 to 06. 826, 824, 885.
Yeah.
What didn't make any sense was that the Cubs had this studly pitching rotation, and they immediately went to a non-defensive catcher. Like,
well, I think that was sort of the theory, is that these guys could pitch to anyone. So,
it's the opposite of what really.
I agree.
Like Damian Miller was a far better catcher for that staff than Michael, losing strikes all over the place by mishandling every pitch. All the shit that people criticize Wilson Contreras about. Wilson was a million times better than Michael Barrett was at it. Yeah, he probably should have been a third baseman.
Yeah.
He was with the Expos originally, and they turned him into a catcher.
Yeah.
And Henry loved him. Henry and Dick Pole. Pole had been the pitching coach in Montreal, and he recommended, when he came back to the Cubs, he recommended Barrett. And so they traded for him. And then they had to do the weird thing where he had to get traded to the A's for a day and then get traded to the Cubs. There was a reason for it. I don't remember. And, they jumped through all these hoops, and he won the Silver Slugger in 2005.
Yes.
Yeah, he was just I couldn't have hated him because Bacco was there, and I had him. I reserved.
That's a really good point. Yeah, neither catcher in 04 was a good one to pick.
I do remember he got the big walk-off hit against the A's in 04. That was fun.
Yes. Also had a big pinch hit grand slam against the Cardinals in 06.
Well, we were up in the upper deck of that game, and it was like a June game, and I remember it being freezing. It was like so cold in the upper deck because of the wind, and like you had this cold wind coming off the lake. It was awful up there in June, and it was like a 1-0 or 2-1 game forever, and then Barrett came up and won it. That was fun.
Yeah. So this is weird. I don't remember why this had to happen, but on December 15th, he was traded by the Expos to the A's for a player to be named later. The A's sent Brent Price to the Expos to complete the trade. Also on December 15th, 2003, he was traded by the A's to the Cubs for Damian Miller.
That's right. Yep.
It was not a 3-way trade. It was 2 trades the same day to get him to the Cubs. It was weird. And then he was traded to the Padres for Rob Bowen, of course, and Kyler Burke. And Rob Bowen eventually turned into Jason Kendall.
I mean, you know, it was probably the right time to move on from him. And I know, like, it is weird because, like, his entire Cubs career spans the gap between 2 playoff appearances. But just for, you know, him being a really good hitting catcher and, you know, the one famous moment with Przinsky on the south side that I was about 40 feet away from, I will unapologetically love Michael Barrett.
AJ deserved to get punched. AJ shoved him.
This is
when
true.
He scored, right? Didn't he, like... Barrett wasn't standing on the plate. It's not like he had to move him out of the way to score. And AJ's just being a prick because he's a fucking asshole. Yeah, that was fine. That was more than... I didn't have a problem with him. I was not... Oh, it's embarrassing. It's not embarrassing. AJ Przinsky deserves to get punched in the face. About time somebody did it. Now we're off to the pitchers. And the way they normally had done it was 4 starters and the 2 relievers, but then they had Derrek pick 4 relievers. Maybe he had so many friends he had to mention, but we're going to stick with the 4 and 2.
Mm-hmm. Unless
you pick 4, I don't care. That's fine. But
it's like the old Veterans Committee.
Pretty much.
Got to pick
like
your favorite players for the Hall of Fame.
Voting his friends in, getting Harold Baines in the Hall of Fame. So I'll do the 4 starters. Mine were as plucky. You might not know. You might not have heard of him. He was a guy. He pitched for the Cubs twice. He left as a free agent, came back a few years later. Greg Maddux, I believe was his name.
Who?
He was kind of good. I wrote my favorite pitcher of all time, and I think he probably would still be my favorite pitcher had he never pitched for the Cubs, but he did pitch for the Cubs twice, so it was very cool. It's amazing, and I gave my rant again about people like, oh, I can't believe he won that many games without good stuff. And it's like, you'd stand in there sometime and see if he didn't think he had any stuff. Everything moved. Right. Everything.
They're only remembering
it's people mixing up stuff with velocity.
But they were saying it when he was in his prime. Like when he's got a 1.92 ERA, and they're like, "How does he get by with throwing 92 miles an hour?" It's like you don't understand baseball. Apparently,
he still struck out. Like his strikeout rates were better than average, but it just looked like it made sense why somebody would question it. It was just a ridiculous question.
Yeah,
because it did look like you should be able to hit this guy.
I don't know. I mean, he struck out from 91 through 94. He struck out 198, 199, 197, 186, 181. I mean, there's a lot of strikeouts.
Yeah, but I was in 200. Like I was in 230, 240.
In the heart of the steroid era, too.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of the point. Is that's when the strikeouts began to spike a little bit. Like I'm not criticizing Greg Maddux. He's certainly on my list. Like I'm not trying to look, but like it's very like you watch him pitch, you're like you should be able to hit the guy, and you just didn't.
And you know how many in 23 years? You know how many batters he walked? Like you should know it to the digit.
Yes, 999. That is right.
999. He had to go like his last 10 starts without a walk to make sure he didn't walk 1,000.
Yeah.
And at the time he retired, only 2 pitchers in baseball history had 3,000 strikeouts and less than 1,000 walks, and they were both number 31 for the Cubs. It was Fergie and Greg. There have been several since, like Pedro and Schilling, but at the time it was just those 2, which was pretty cool. Yep. The second guy I picked was a guy that I got, as I thought about it, I got more fired up about it because I love to make fun of him because he's easy to make fun of. I mean, every time the Cubs go to the West Coast, he Bigfoots his way into the booth and he tells stories about his grandson playing Little League baseball. But if you were 11 years old in 1984 and this dude shows up and makes 20 starts and wins 16 of them, loses once, doesn't pitch in the National League for the first 63 games of the year, and easily wins the Cy Young, throws a complete game to get the Cubs into the playoffs, hits a fucking home run out of the street in the first playoff game. I mean, Rick Sutcliffe was, they don't do any of that shit without him. It's amazing. As good as that team was, and the Sandberg game is just like this. Oh, remember that one time when Ryan had that game? I mean, it's famous now because it happened. It's famous partially because it was the kind of the launch pad to that season.
Yes.
I mean, it's heightened.
Yeah.
And Rick was the huge part of that. I mean, they're probably the 2 most important guys on that team were Ryan Sandberg and Rick Sutcliffe. I mean, the MVP and the Cy Young.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was something else. And you watch him in the, it's like, could you maybe have done some sit-ups? But still, he got it done. The
guy's
pants
like
didn't.
6'8". The guy's huge.
Yeah, the pants didn't help. The weird, elastic band pants. That's not a good look for anybody. So we'll forgive him for that. And then I put John Lester on the list for a similar reason. Like Sutcliffe showed up in '84, and it was like, all right, fuck it, it's time to win. And Lester showed up in 2015. It was the exact same thing.
Yep, I agree.
And it's Jake obviously had an amazing Cub career, and for the second half of 2015, he may have been the best pitcher who ever pitched. I mean, it was unreal. That you look at those numbers and they're a joke that anybody could do that to major league hitters. But John was better longer for the Cubs. Like he was more consistently good. And in the next year, it was John. Jake was the story of 15 and getting them where they got, and Lester took over in 16. I mean, he was, when they needed somebody, they had to get through Game 5, and they had him, and that was going to be fine, and it worked. And then even though Joe went to him too soon in Game 7, I still, we had just gotten, it'd been, 2 years before, when you're watching the World Series, and you're like, God, wouldn't it be nice if the Cubs were ever in this? And the Giants get to the 7th game against the Royals, and the door swings open, and Madison Bumgarner runs out and just fucking strikes every Royal out for the rest of the night.
Yep.
And we got our own moment of that. When the door opens, and here comes John, and he's going to save the day. And then, of course, David Ross throws a ball in the stands and falls down. But after that, John didn't give anything up. No. He was amazing.
Lester didn't get flustered. You're 100% right.
He's one of the greatest postseason pitchers of all time. His World Series ERA is, I think, is the lowest. Mm-hmm. He won 200 games on the dot, and he's probably going to go to the Hall of Fame someday. Like, hopefully. His postseason record is so good that it pulls up.
He might be other than Joe Madden and Theo, he might be the only member of the 2016 Cubs. He probably is going to be the only member of the 2016 Cubs to go to the Hall of Fame.
That you primarily know as Cubs, yes. Maybe Aroldis Chapman gets in there.
Yeah. That's right. Oh.
Aroldis not on my list.
Yeah.
I don't blame you.
So I picked Johnny. And then who the hell did I pick for my fourth?
Zambrano.
Yes, easy pick. Carlos.
Nice.
For a lot of the reasons, like with Lester, we remember Lester was like the worst hitter ever.
Yeah.
Like I think he was 0 for his first 63.
Yeah.
Finally gets his first hit against John Lackey, which he loved. And after that, he was a good hitter. Not okay. Like he was actually a good hitter. Like when he won that famously when he pinched. When he came in the Mariners game and he had the walk-off bunt.
Yeah.
He wasn't he didn't think of himself yet as an actual hitter, and he couldn't believe Joe was sending him up because him and Jake both had bats in the dugout. And he's like, well, clearly Jake's going to hit. And he sent him up because they were going to bunt. That's why he wanted John to do it. And then Carlos is almost like it's almost like a cartoon character. You get this huge dude who all of a sudden who just tells you, oh yeah, by the way, I'm a switch hitter. Like what? So I switch hit. And they just let him do it, and he's good. He's got power from both sides of the plate
too, I want to say.
No, he did it from the very beginning. He was always a switch hitter. And he somehow survived the Dusty Baker torture. His arm never fell off like everybody else's. And he was 20. I think I looked it up. He's 23 in 04. And he's the one carrying them down the stretch. Yeah. Like every Zambrano start, they were going to win. And it was him and Greg down the stretch for the longest. And then Greg fell apart at the very end. But they weren't getting much out of Wood and Pryor. And Carlos was carrying them. And then there's all the, part of being a favorite is all the crazy shit you do. Like punch Michael Barrett in the face. Right. Which I really didn't mind. I remember him hitting Jim Edmonds in the back on purpose and Chip and Steve acting like it was the worst thing that anyone had ever done. And remember the opening day in Arizona where they gave him the huge lead and he couldn't he kept getting hit and he got thrown out and then he made the glasses to the umpire. Yeah. Actually, you got to take him out. He pulled his glasses up to the ump and gets thrown out. He got thrown out of a game and took the ball and whipped it into the bleachers from the mound.
Beats the
He
shit out of the
destroyed
Gatorade cooler. Yeah.
Destroyed the Gatorade machine. He was just,
It was great.
Carlos was fun.
Fantastic.
Yeah, he's on my list.
So. Yep, on my list as well too.
Yeah, so those are my four.
Pitchers could have gone. Pitchers could have easily starting pitchers could have easily gone 12 or 15 deep for me. Like there's so many good ones. The guys who you even left off. Like I had a thing for both Ted Lilly and Lieber and John Lieber, and they weren't even in consideration. Okay. The other guy who I really liked was Tapani. Like that guy was great for that year, and like it was him. Was that him? And wait, who was with Mike Morgan? Mike Morgan was another one. He had a really good year, and was it '98, and that was about it.
Well, Morgan's good year was the year before Maddox left. Okay. Those two were like, holy shit, we got two good pitchers, and then
that was
Morgan came back in '98. That was
that's right.
He came back, and then what year did they bring Traxel back? 03? They're really big on bringing guys back.
Or 08.
And then there's the famous thing. So what is it? Everybody since Fergie to have won 20 games in a season for the Cubs has left and come back.
Okay.
Right? It's Fergie and Lieber and Maddox and Jake. They've all left and they've all come back.
Yeah. Right. So like I could have gone easily a dozen deep. Rick Russell would have been a fight. Like, I mean, it would have been hard. I got to see 8 2/3 innings of Frank Castillo throwing a no-hitter against the Cardinals. So that kind of automatically makes him up for consideration. But for me, it really was kind of simple at the end of it. It was Maddox, Wood, Zambrano, and Kyle Hendricks.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Jose Guzman because he almost.
Oh, well, that would have been.
He almost threw a no-hitter too.
Yeah.
That's
right.
And Greg
Jamie Navarro. Navarro was
one,
like he was awesome for a little while, and then the White Sox signed him.
Yeah, that was the best part of the Navarro thing was he left and then he went to the White Sox and he sucked.
Yeah.
It was like, he threw all his good. He was with the Brewers, he was okay. He was with the Cubs, he was good. Then he went to the White Sox, he was terrible.
It was really good. I remember he had a game after the All-Star break against the Cardinals that was just amazing. He was really
speaking of near no-hitters for the Cubs, do you remember the day after Carlos Zambrano threw his no-hitter in Milwaukee against the Astros, that Ted Lilly took a no-hitter into like the 7th inning the next day?
Yep.
Yeah.
And the Astros were blaming it all on the hurricane.
Well,
remember Lance Berkman? I had to carry my bag down like 12 flights of stairs in my apartment building because there's no power.
Yeah. Tough shit.
Okay, couldn't rest on the plane, fat Elvis.
Right. All right. I'm going to start off with the number one guy for me. I'll just come out and say that before 2015, I was a very clean-shaven man, and the beard you say today is largely because of the season that Jake Arrieta had in 2015. Another guy who raked too, but that second half was just legendary, and then continued it on in 2016. Until last year was the last Cubs pitcher to win a playoff game against the Dodgers in 2017.
Yep.
So, 2 no-hitters for Jake Arrieta too, which is like, gets forgotten about. And I wonder, where that ranks for Cubs pitchers as far as like multiple no-hitters go.
Sorry, what do you mean gets forgotten about?
The second one kind of gets forgotten about because it was like such a blowout and it was so early.
Don't tell that to Miguel Montero. Miguel's famous quote about that. Miguel caught the one in L.A., the first one, and Ross caught the second one. And the next day when they're all the writers were around Ross's locker, Miggy walks by and goes, "Oh, we're still talking about the no-hitter that Ross caught." In other words, go talk to the fucking pitcher, the guy who actually threw it, not the guy who caught it.
Yeah, that is right. That famously David Ross caught that, and I remember him getting a lot of like just over love from.
He never caught one.
Yeah.
So Larry Corcoran threw 3, Ken Holtzman threw 2, and Jake threw 2.
Nice.
And Alec Mills threw 1.
Nice. Number 2 for me. Same era. It's Kyle Hendricks, guy who did not throw hard, but like was there longer than, maybe not there before Jake Arrieta, but was there longer than Lester. Kind of had the longest run of that top 3. ERA champion. There is a small part of me that thinks back to Game 7 and kind of wishes that Joe would have just let him go for as long as he could and see if he could have like a start that would have rivaled like Kerry Wood's performance in 03 against the Braves, or Mark Pryor a couple nights before that. But Kyle Hendricks, to me, like, should be a very near future utility tunnel of fame inductee.
Yeah, it's the things that conspired against Kyle.
Guys, or
I was gonna say the thing that conspired against Kyle in that game, coming out as early as he did, was not the inning he took him out. The inning before that, he gave up 3 rockets, and it got everybody a little nervous. But the reason he came out when he did was when the ump blew the ball, the full count call on Carlos Santana. That they got Lester up. And they finally got to a point they just had to bring him in. He'd been warming up for fucking ever. And you weren't going to be able to use him then. And they had to, and so Joe had to make Joe's initial plan was for Kyle to get one more out, and then John was going to start an inning, and it got ball blown to hell, and he went and brought him in. And that was the one of all the moves. That was the one Theo was still pissed off about, because he blamed that on Lester throwing the wild pitch, because he came in with runners on, and it gave it ended up 2 runs, and we was supposed to come in for a clean inning. But I think Joe's point was he'd been warming up for a half hour. How much fucking longer are we supposed to wait? We're just going to burn him, and he's going to sit down, and then we're going to have to try to get through this game, because their whole plan was they were only supposed to use 3 pitchers. It was supposed to be Hendricks, Lester, and Aroldis. Nobody else. They didn't trust anybody else.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, and hey, if David Ross has mixed up the pitch calling a little bit and not just called fastballs, that probably would have been the plan. It would have worked out well. All right, moving on. You guys already discussed these next 2 guys. I'll be pretty brief on them. Carlos Zambrano, John Lester fill out my top 4. I did have one honorable mention. And we had a recent episode where I discussed that ever since 2018, I've come to hate the Brewers more than I hate the Cardinals. And this guy is remembered for being the return in a trade that most Cub fans might regret, but the fact that he
Ruben
was
Quevedo?
No, not quite Ruben Quevedo. The fact that he was probably the biggest Brewers killer at a time when the Cubs and Brewers were the top 2 in the NL Central. Probably not one of the more beloved Cubs, but I have a real soft spot in my heart for Jose Quintana. The fact that, like, he was the best against the team the Cubs needed to perform the best against the most at the time. Anything to add, or?
I have 0 opinions on Jose Quintana. Like, he was perfectly fine. I wish they would have traded for him probably 2 years before they did.
That's a good point, because he was really damn good those first couple years with the White Sox.
Yeah. But he was fine with the Cubs, and I think at the time, it was this really weird thing, because it really did seem like they gave up a lot. Like, it obviously didn't quite work out like that. I mean, Dylan Cease turned out pretty good, but otherwise, like, it was perfectly fine. They needed they famously were trying to get a starter like for 2 years at that point, and they had to pull the trigger on something. And they gave up 2 top prospects, and especially since the year before that, this was 17 they got Zambrano, or they got Quintana. The year before that, they gave up Glaber to get
Chapman. Yeah,
and so there was this real sort of like, holy cow! All the farm system, they're giving it all up, especially after years of them being at the top of the league. And so there was a little bit of that, like, who cares? Yeah. And Quintana was perfectly fine, but
if you guys remember go ahead.
I was just gonna say it was kind of that trade was kind of the first indication that their master plan wasn't working. And that was, Jed admitted, for some reason they talked about it at the Cub convention, that they saw Cease at the time like he wasn't going to be able to stick as a starter. He was going to be a reliever. And they needed, that's part of the appeal of Jose, was he had a long contract that didn't pay him very much money. And they were going to need pitching, because as Lester and Jake and those guys left, they're young pitchers coming up. Even in 2017, they were looking down the road. They didn't have anything coming. So that trade was kind of forced by the fact that they fucked up every pitcher that they drafted forever.
Right. If you guys remember, at the time of that trade, this was in 2017. For 2018, the only starting pitchers they had under contract were John Lester and Kyle Hendricks. Lester was, Jake Arrieta was due to be a free agent. John Lackey was going to retire, and they didn't really have like a fifth starter for a lot of the first half of that season. And they got it. Like, I remember this being a narrative on Sports Talk Radio. Like, when are the Cubs ever going to go out and acquire like a controllable starting pitcher for a low price? And they wound up getting one. And then, it wound up being this trade that we never hear the end of, even though the Cubs have had more success with Jose Quintana.
And
the
also,
White Sox
Quintana
had...
didn't exactly. Yeah.
Go ahead.
And Quintana didn't exactly get off to a hot start either, if I remember right.
Yes, he did.
Yeah,
I know
he struck out 10 Orioles in his first first game.
That is right. Yep. Honestly, that stretch from when he was traded to the Cubs to the end of that 2017 season, and even like his first few playoff appearances, were probably his best stretch of pitching with the Cubs.
Yeah, he had really 4-8 with a 4.49 for the White Sox. With the Cubs, he made 14 starts. He was 7-3 with a 3.74. He had to pitch. He had to pitch in Game 5 against the Nats, right?
That is right.
That crazy game. So he couldn't start Game 1. Then his wife had the weird panic attack on the plane, and the plane to L.A. ended up in Albuquerque, literally.
He did start Game 1, though, against Kershaw, if I remember right.
Okay, he did. So they had to limit how many innings he
did
pitch because he'd had to pitch.
That's right. But if you look at that game, him and Kershaw basically had matching stat lines with each other. I think they both went like 5 innings, allowed 2 runs.
Yeah, he won 13 games in 18 and 13 games in 19, which are his career high. He also won 13 games 1 year with the White Sox.
Yep.
Yeah, he was a good pitcher. That was not a bad trade. They thought it was because, Eloy's going to be a star. And then Eloy kept running they kept getting caught in the net. And Cease was good, but even the White Sox didn't. He had better. Yeah, he had one good year with the Sox, and he had 2 good years with the Padres. He was better after he left than when they had him.
Yeah, he was high strikeout. He was like that prototype. He just never. He still kind of walks too many guys. When he doesn't, is when he's good.
Yep.
I'm not gonna look up. I was gonna look up his stats. Like the hell with it.
Jose pitched for the Cardinals?
Yes, in 2022, right?
22.
I mean, he's hung around. He's still active. He was with the Brewers last couple of years, right?
Yeah, he won 11 games for the Brewers last year.
Yeah.
He's only 36. He's 37 this year. The Cubs should bring him back. Add him to the list.
I wouldn't hate it.
We want 14 starting pitchers. Let's go for it. All right, so the bullpen, I only picked 2. Maybe you guys pick more. It doesn't matter. They've had a long and colorful list of closers in my lifetime.
Yep.
I don't really remember Suter as the closer. I certainly remember Lee Smith. And then there was the great Mitch Williams, which was quite a ride. And then for a while, they kept sorting through like Dave Smith and Doug Jones and
Randy Myers in there.
Randy Myers was really good, and I told the story about Randy Myers' poster day where he gave up the save, and all the fans threw the posters on the field, and the reporters were going to see how pissed off he was, and he's like, "If I had a poster, I'd have thrown it too."
Yeah.
He tried to kill a guy on the field. He had a grenade in his locker. Coached women's college basketball in the offseason.
Yep.
He's quite a guy. I remember not liking him at first because he had been a Met. And I was still in the mode where I hated anybody who'd ever played for the Mets. But Randy won me over. He was a good signing. Right. But I ended up settling on 2 of the all-time greats. One who I think is the best middle reliever they've ever had, Pedro Strop. He was really good.
On my list.
And when he's part of that heist, I mean, it was that trade was for Jake, clearly. And then Pedro was really fucking good. I mean, it was an amazing trade.
The Cubs would have won that trade if Jake wasn't a part of it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, if it was just Pedro.
Right. Yeah.
And I remember it was another where I'd seen Pedro pitch for the Dominican in the World Baseball Classic like the year before, and he was doing crazy shit. I'm like, I like that guy. And then when they traded him, I'm like, I know who that guy is. I know who Pedro Strop is.
Yep.
So I was very excited. And then for my other guy, I went with a closer. I went with Sweaty Joe Borowski.
Okay, another guy that I wrote down.
That 03 team
Yeah.
was built without a closer. Antonio Alfonseca was supposed to be the closer of that team. What the fuck?
Yeah.
And Joe, with his 90-mile-an-hour fastball and more innings pitched and strikeouts, just kept getting people out. And I think one of the most underrated, I think Aroldis gets the credit he deserves in Game 7 for after he gives up the home run. He gets the next 4 guys out. Like, they can't win the World Series if he loses it then and he can't get it together. Well, similarly, in Game 3 in the 03 playoffs, in the LCS, Joe gives up the lead and has to pitch into the 11th and keeps the Marlins off the board so that when the Cubs get the lead, then they can go to Remlinger and somehow pull it out when Ramos dropped the ball and picked it up and tagged out Luis Castillo. We love Sweaty Joe. I mean, he gave it all that year. It's funny that, in my mind, that was it, right? He tried to come back for 04 and he was hurt and he couldn't pitch and he was done. Well, he went and led the league in saves with the Indians after that. I mean, he still somehow managed. And our initial exposure to Joe was not good. It was the year before, or maybe it was it 01, not 03? It was 01. And he had to make a spot start against the Giants.
That's right.
And he gave up a grand slam in the first inning to Barry Bonds that is still orbiting the earth. It was, nobody's ever hit a ball that far. And who knew he'd be one of our favorites just 2 years later?
Yep.
So those are my 2 guys.
Yeah, my 2 guys, I would have like Borowski was clear. Like that was, you're right about 03. It was incredible. He didn't walk anyone. It was a really, really cool year. Like that was, and it was really cool to see Borowski. He was just a regular guy. I obviously have an affinity for Strope. And Randy Myers was in my honorable mention. I kind of remember, and now that I think about it, I got the wrong guy. I wanted to put Rumlinger on the list just for what he did, whatever year it was.
Hey, if Dusty could ever use him properly, probably would have been there.
But the 2 guys that I had, it was another one where I'm like, I'm overthinking it, and so I just went back to kind of to fun and first. So I went with Lee Smith. Like it was just like when I was a kid, he was just this, like he just looked huge when everybody else looked huge also, and he was just this mountain up on that mound, and it was just incredible to watch him. And I'll always love Lee Smith. But the other guy who was just fun and like, how can you not love this guy, was Rod Beck, and that was like,
shooter,
holy shit, like that was just like he came, like it was another guy, like how is he getting guys out and what's happening, and he was just it was just fun. It was like, I wish that I had more room on my list for guys like Matt Stairs and Rod Beck and those kinds of guys, right? Because that's just obviously who reminds me of me. But yeah, that's right. With Beck and
I wrote about Shooter, but I forgot his partner in crime, Terry Mulholland. I did not mention. But those two guys in '98. It was. They were dragging that pitching staff to the finish.
I guess it was Mulholland I was thinking of. Yeah, like Mulholland was great.
It's funny. Probably the more endearing thing with Beck was he never made it to the major leagues this time around, but the second time around in the Cubs organization when he came back in 03 and was living in the trailer outside of the stadium in Iowa when he was with the Iowa Cubs. I always love that story. All right, so I had 6 here. You said Pedro Strop and Joe Borowski. Those were 2 of the guys I said. Oleg says Lee Smith and Rod Beck. I didn't have those. A little too young for those guys. Probably the best season of closing from start to finish in recent memory for the Cubs is going to be my number 1. A guy who was super dominant a few years before coming to the Cubs with the Royals. I'm going to go with Wade Davis. His 2017 season is like one of my favorite relief pitching seasons as a Cub. He went, I think, until like August or September, I want to say, without blowing a save. And then pitched his ass off in the Game 5 against the Nationals and the one game they won against the Dodgers. Probably my favorite entrance music of any relief pitcher with Act Right by Dr. Dre. So Wade
Davis,
my
honorable mentions.
Nice.
He was in my extended list. Yeah, I love Wade Davis.
Nice. And then a very underrated guy on the 2015 and 2016 teams that like you don't think about as one of the first few relievers, but was probably the most used guy in the series against the Cardinals in 2015. I believe Andy at the time nicknamed him the Pillsbury Outman, Trevor Cahill.
Oh yeah.
He made my list. Yeah, he I believe in 2016, even after they got Chapman, wound up pitching the most innings in relief of anyone on that team. And, was like he was part of this like core in 2016, I remember, of like failed starters that they kind of made into a bullpen down the stretch with like him, Clayton Richard. Yep. A couple other guys I'm blanking on here, but yeah, Trevor Cahill, big doughy guy who just went out there and got you out, and like nothing but love for Trevor Cahill.
Trevor was still there in 16. He's
That's
a World
right.
Series Cub.
He was, I want to say he was left off the playoff roster, which is weird when you look at his stats. Like, led the team in relief innings, and I think had the lowest ERA outside of Chapman of any Cubs relief pitcher. Was really damn good for 2 years with them.
All right. Quinn has a trivia question for Oleg. She wants to know if you know what Cub pitched 3 scoreless innings in the 1987 All-Star game.
What Cub pitched 3 scoreless innings in the 1987?
I got a guess in my head, but this is for Oleg, so
it wasn't Sutcliffe.
Oh,
that's what I would have said.
Yeah,
it was Lee Smith.
Lee Smith threw innings, 3 innings in an All-Star game.
Yep.
What the hell?
Fucking Davey Johnson should have been beaten about the head and shoulders.
Holy
I think he got
shit.
the win.
Yeah, how did the Cubs not make a stink about it?
I don't know. There's nothing you can do during the game.
Hey, dude, are you kidding? I would have called the commissioner.
They were right on the verge of shipping him out of town for Calvin Schiraldi, so.
Oh, my
Fry
God.
probably said, go ahead, pitch him as much as you want. That's fine. Let's see. What innings did he pitch?
Right.
I don't like the way it's this.
Oh, my God. Yeah, Lee Smith and John Lester were the 2 guys that I was probably most sad in the Cardinals uniform.
4, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh, how many innings did this go? 13.
Oh, 80.
He pitched the 10th, 11th, and
87
12th.
was an extra.
But still.
Okay.
Yikes.
That's crazy talk.
Wonder what the ERA was after the All-Star game. The end of his.
Yeah, that's a good thing to look up.
Years after that.
Yeah.
I was looking to see because I thought he got the win, and he did. But then it says Lee Smith. The headline was Lee Smith pitches 3 innings. It's like, why?
You guys might be better equipped to answer this than I would ever know. What was the whole hang-up with Lee Smith not getting in the Hall of Fame all his years when he retired as the all-time saves leader?
Oh, I think the feeling was that he had the reason he had that many saves was just that he hung around forever. But I mean, he had 478. That's a fucking lot. I mean, you only hang around if you're good. Nobody's going to give you that.
Well, yeah, right, exactly. I sort of think he had 37 saves as a 37-year-old. The guy threw, holy shit, he had 3 years in a row where he threw 320 innings.
Lee?
82, 83, 84?
320.
Yeah, no, total. 300.
Average, but over 100 innings.
Oh,
yeah, that was. Guys did that.
It
It was a different world. He pitched.
Yeah.
His second half wasn't that much. It was basically the same. 306, with 22 saves in the first half, 321 with 14 saves in the second half. So they didn't ruin him, I guess. But
yeah, he had 8 out of 9 years in which he threw more than 80 innings as a closer, including when he finally went to Boston. Yeah, Lee Smith was awesome.
I guess maybe the one other thing with him too is like
MVP voting.
Outside of the 84 Cubs, what other like playoff teams did he really pitch on? Because it was like, I know the 95 Angels he was on, like them and the Mariners were like in the mix for the AL West at the end of the year, but the Mariners beat him out. I guess that had to have been his only playoff appearance was 84.
It just sucked that he was good for St. Louis.
He pitched for the Red Sox in '88 against the A's. Was that was '88 the year Roger Clemens got thrown out of the game? Do you remember that while he was pitching? He got thrown out. It might have been '88. So Lee in 2 playoffs.
Very nice.
Gave up 9 hits in 5 innings, 5 runs. Had 1 save for the Cubs in '84. He gave up the Garvey home run, right?
Yeah, sadly.
Fucking Steve Garvey. The worst. All right.
Hey, shout out Adam Schiff for beating him in that congressional race.
Steve Garvey. What an asshole. If Steve should have all his kids had voted for him, he'd have won. But apparently they didn't.
Ha!
He couldn't even get all of them. Lee Smith, Hall of Famer, 7-time All-Star, 3 times Rolaids Relief Award. They don't have his utility tunnel of fame thing on his baseball reference page. I'm going to have to write to the baseball reference guys.
Yeah,
right.
How could they not?
That's his most major accomplishment.
Yeah. Should be included in that.
You leave that off. He was a 2nd-round draft pick. Who knew? He always threatened he was going to go play basketball. I don't need this. I'm going to go play basketball. They're like, yeah, okay, Lee. Yeah, sure. All right, go get him. Who's the first? Let's see. Last thing here. Who was the Cubs' 1st-round pick in 1975? I bet it was some guy who's great. They usually were. Oh, yeah. Brian Racinski.
Thinking about like some of those early
from Evanston.
Thinking about some of those early drafts for the Cubs, like up until they took Maddox in '84, Lee Smith was probably like their best drafted player at that point.
I bet he was.
Because draft starts in '66. There's a lot of duds in there, I know.
They used to joke about the like the NBA draft. Guys were so prepared. They'd show up at like the ballroom wherever and with a meeting room, and they'd have like Street and Smith's college basketball preview. And that's how they'd be going through looking for guys to draft. I can't even imagine the baseball one.
Of course.
Somebody get the phone book.
Jeez.
Do we have any high school yearbooks? Just pick a senior. I don't know. We didn't bother. We forgot to scout again. Whoops. Was a draft today? I thought it was in October. It's in June? Shit.
And then years later, Ed Lynch would just be looking for sons of former big leaguers.
Oh,
that's how he would draft. Yeah.
Henry. And then Henry was just drafting guys from.
Well, Henry was a scouting director, so maybe. Yeah.
Henry was drafting guys from his old high school, from Dunedin High School. He took Brian
That's
Harvey
right.
and who's the other guy back to back. It's like, Jesus, Jim, come on, we love you, but maybe hire some scouts. Let's give that a shot. All right. That was fun. That turned into a remember this crap. 2 hours and 40 minutes.
Yeah,
right. Jeez, we're pushing what the 03 episode was. Jeez.
Well, we were showing off because we had an in studio audience.
That's true.
Yeah. They're
That's
like,
right.
are they
They're
always
very
this
impressed.
long?
Yeah, I know.
Still talking?
It was funny. We were kind of talking about it. I'm like, we'll be done by 9.
Yeah.
Well, it's 9:59, so kind of.
Yeah.
You almost made it.
It's 9 o'clock somewhere.
No.
All right. Well, that was fun.
Well, thanks, fellas. It was a fun one.
Derrek Lee screwed up his list so that we could give us an excuse to do this.
There you go.
Yeah. Thank you, Derrek Lee, for what you did.
You put Jock Jones on it and LaTroy. Oh, people are mocking you in the background. That's nice.
They're mocking LaTroy Hawkins.
During the podcast, I got an email from Rob Letterly who wanted to remind me that when LaTroy blew the save against the Phillies, he got so mad that he lost control of his car and hit a barrier on I-88.
Holy shit, that's right. I remember that.
Yeah.
Oh, good old Rob.
Sloth.
I haven't talked to Rob in a while.
Well,
that's good.
He said that said, he never should have been. He wasn't a closer and should have never been permitted to function as such. So I don't blame him entirely.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing, right? I think that's part of the thing about LaTroy is there was a hell of an 8th inning guy in Minnesota The Cubs brought him over. I don't think he was supposed to be the closer, right? They were never going to make him to the
It was
ninth
supposed to be
inning.
Joe, but Joe got hurt.
It was supposed to be Joe, and LaTroy would set up for him. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, well, it seems it's still probably more of a indictment of LaTroy Hawkins, I don't know, whatever it is, that he's not able to just simply pitch the ninth inning like he did the eighth.
I mean, he had the ability. He just
pitching's pitching.
He had the physical ability, but he couldn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh well.
It really hampered his career. He only pitched until he was.
They should.
Yeah. I mean, he's a good pitcher.
They should have done with him what Craig did with Ryan Presley, where he was going for spots in the batting order instead of a specific inning. Just go for the bottom.
Yeah,
of the
I mean, I don't think anybody was thinking along those lines back then.
Right.
We owe LaTroy a debt of gratitude. He gave up the first truly big home run of the 2015 season.
That's right.
Yeah.
Dexter Fowler in Colorado.
Yep.
Yep.
I think that would have been LaTroy's last year.
Yep.
It was. So he went out on a high. Went out the way he came in.
He went out the way he came in.
Giving up crippling home runs.
Cold, wet, and naked.
He's from Gary. He's got to be excited about the Bear Dome coming to town.
Yeah.
All right.
Well,
thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Thank you. It's been a wild ride.
Many of us have herpes.
Post-game show is brought to you by Christ, I can't find it. The hell with it.
It's fitting. It's got to be done with one of the best games of all time. Just unbelievable. Got to congratulate the Dolan family.
Thank you.
Sean, my podcast co-host Andy, you were his favorite player growing up.
Oh, thank you so much, Andy.